Hey everyone, welcome back to the Keep Watching podcast, where we decide what to watch so you don't have to. I'm James.
And I'm Sarah.
And today we're going to be talking about Heart Signal 4, episode 12. We are back finally, Sarah.
Oh, yeah.
It has been a minute since we have talked about Heart Signal 4.
That is true.
We both took trips.
Yeah, and I came back and got super sick.
Yeah.
So that delayed some things a little bit.
Yeah, you got super sick. I'm a little sick, but nothing compared to what you had, it sounds like.
I am still a human mucus factory, but I think it'll be okay
gross.
for this recording. Yes. It is
Okay.
gross on my end. Sorry if I sound a little like I'm sick, because I still am.
All right. You excited to talk about this, though?
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
I kind of forgot to be excited about it, and then I watched the episode, and I was like, oh, yes. I remember.
Yeah.
The feels I get from this show. Let's go.
Good show. It's a good show.
All right. I have some comments from listeners. You ready for these?
Get it. Yeah.
All right. Lizzie on YouTube writes, "Oh my gosh, I absolutely cannot wait for you to react to episode 12." And I read this comment before my vacation trip, and I was like scared that I was like wildly wrong about some prediction that I made in the previous episode. I don't think I was, but I was really scared going into this that some shit was gonna happen. That I'm not sure exactly what from this episode Lizzie was expecting us to react to. There wasn't like something that I was like, oh, that's what she was talking about.
Oh yeah, I don't know.
Do you know what it was? Okay.
I do not. I mean, I know I have a moment where I'm gonna have perhaps a bigger than necessary reaction.
Okay.
Maybe it's that. Maybe it's something else. I don't know.
Okay.
Lizzie, you'll have to let us know.
Yeah, Lizzie, if we don't react to what you want us to react to, let us know. It also might just be Lizzie's first time listening. I'm not sure. And maybe she was just excited that she found the podcast.
Oh, yeah.
That's possible. Lizzie, let us know.
If so, welcome.
Yeah. Okay. Emma on YouTube actually answered Sarah's awkward prompt about complimenting us based on the complimenting charming game.
The charming points, yeah.
That people are, there's some sort of weird game that we discussed towards the end of the podcast in the last episode.
Yes, Emma was very sweet.
Yeah, Emma said, I think you both are cute, honest, and funny. And then she also said Sarah, specifically, not me, would be really good at guessing the texts if she was a host on the show.
I think Emma has more faith in me than I have.
Yeah, I was wondering, like, have you really been that? I mean, like, I've totally given up and I'm terrible at it. I'll admit that. But has Sarah really been that spot on? I don't know.
I think the last couple of ones I've been like, well, I guess Mingyu's gonna do some stupid shit that doesn't make sense again, and I've just given in to not. I don't know. Maybe.
Okay. You've probably been as right, if not more right, than the actual host, right?
I don't know. I don't keep track anymore.
They've been getting some wrong recently.
Yeah.
I think. All right. Well, I gave up on trying, so. All right. Well, Interregnum is still undeterred on his Mingyu picking Yisu prediction based on episode 11. They gave us some logic to justify Mingyu in the last episode. It was mostly like, Mingyu clearly likes Ji Young, but he doesn't want to like her is the angle that Interregnum's looking at.
Yeah.
And also Interregnum thinks that Ji Young and Mingyu's last date was a lot to do with Mingyu drinking. So he thinks it was like a drunken, which I wouldn't have, before I watched this episode, I wouldn't have agreed with, but there's like a point in this episode where Mingyu seems to maybe have forgotten about things that happened on the last date with Ji Young.
Yeah.
So maybe he was drunk. I don't know.
Maybe. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. I'm curious to see how Interregnum feels after this episode, though, because I feel like maybe I'm biased, but I feel like it's just more being set in stone on my side. But maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I might be landing with Interregnum still on this. Like this.
You think he's gonna pick Yisu?
I mean, he might. I think. Yeah.
Wow. All right.
I don't know. He says some shit this episode that I'm like, what? Where even is this guy's head? I don't know.
I understand you can be like, okay, why is Mingyu saying what he's saying? But why would he be saying what he's saying and also be going to pick Yisu? Is my question. We'll get into it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll get into it. I've got a lot to say about that when we get there.
Okay. Well, yeah, we will get there. Okay. Jacob on YouTube wanted to let us know that he listened all the way to the end of the podcast, which is something we
Nice.
let's
This is
go.
Something we wanted to know if anybody did. Good job. Appreciate
I mean,
you.
Emma must have also made it pretty deep if she answered your awkward prompt. But
Yeah,
maybe,
that's true.
maybe she didn't make it to the part where we asked people to
Literally
literally let us know if you made it, because we were curious if people actually listened to the end. As far as we know, only Jacob does the literal end of the podcast.
It gets silly down there. Oh no, I think we got a tweet from Interregnum actually also referencing.
Oh, okay. All right. So
Sorry, I'm supposed to be in charge of tweets.
Yes, you are. Are they still called tweets?
They are called tweets on this fucking podcast. I am not calling that
But
app X or whatever the fuck.
I understand the
it's supposed to
app's
be.
called X, but what is like the verb?
I think they're just posts.
Oh,
Like very boring. Just
That doesn't let
I'm
me
sorry,
know.
I'm not gonna go off on how angry I am about Twitter, but I'm gonna keep calling it Twitter and
Okay.
tweets.
Oh, tweets was so good.
Yeah.
Okay. And then JB on YouTube says, I believe the texting prompt is to send a text to production stating who you would like to send a signal and what would you say to them. I don't think the cast are revealing the messages or signals. I don't think the casts are receiving the messages or signals.
Mm.
Yeah, that is possible. My question is just why? Like, if they know and production knows that the actual message will never be read by anybody ever,
Yeah.
unless it's revealed in a secret like YouTube scene that then gets talked about later in the show when one of the hosts references it.
Yeah, it's so silly.
Why aren't they just texting a name? I don't know why.
This show's silly sometimes.
I was wondering, like, would this show be better or worse if the contestants got to see who was picking them and what messages were being sent?
Well,
It would probably be less interesting, right?
yeah, it'd be worse if they knew exactly who. But I think they should still get if a message is being like if somebody is going to the effort of writing something other than just a name, like that should go through. You know, like that.
Well, that's definitely not
At
going
least-
through.
I know,
Right,
but
yeah.
like,
What was it before? It was anonymous. It was anonymous text, right?
yeah, it was the anonymous message then.
Okay.
And everybody was so bad at texting that nobody knew who it was from, but they could at least make their
Yeah.
guesses and just assume it was the person they liked because that seemed to be what everybody did.
I think it would be less interesting just because people would maybe get their feelings confirmed, but they would also get rejected earlier, or they would like know like, oh, this person's not texting me, kind of thing, maybe. So I don't know. It could go either way. I do think, if we take the show at its word and like these are the people that are like these are the names that they're submitting each night.
Mm-hmm.
I do think like some of them would be different if they knew that it was actually going to be received.
Yeah.
Potentially. Like, is Mingyu really picking Yisu every time if he knows that shit's actually going to get received? I don't know. Or is Mingyu actually even picking Yisu every time?
I would think if he knew that they were he would be picking her at this point because I think he's picking her. But whatever.
Yeah, I mean, the best evidence, if it's true that Mingyu is going to pick Yisu, is that he's been texting her every single time.
Yeah.
But how about this though? If he doesn't pick Yisu in the end of the show, can we just
Mhm.
agree that there's no way he texted her every single time? Or at least if he was, like, he was trolling. If he was.
Oh, okay. If he was trolling, that's like an asshole move.
I mean, it's not because nobody's receiving the text, so and
No,
he knows
but,
that.
But okay, so here's the thing I'm going to bring up later is that she is very clear that they had a conversation that made her very sure that he has feelings about her.
Yeah, I remember that conversation. It was not as direct as she thought it was, but
But
or
we saw whatever weird version of it.
oh,
And
okay.
she speaks to him about this very clear messaging that he's given her later in this episode, and he does not go, "What?" He agrees with her, so
Does
there
he?
is something
Oh.
that's happening.
Okay, I didn't get that, but okay. I still read it as like Yisu is some level of overconfidence about something he said that
Well, it's got to be more than what we saw because what he said and what we
if
saw was nothing.
if anything, I thought he was like taken aback by her saying that because he goes on to be like, so what if I don't pick you in the end, or something like that.
Okay, well, we'll get to that
Okay.
later. But I just think that there's got to be something for her to base that overconfidence or not on. And
There's something, but it doesn't mean it's right. Yeah.
It's more than texts that are fake or not or whatever. You know, like I don't know.
Oh, she's not getting the text.
Well, yeah, I know she's
I
not
just-
getting the text. So, like, if he doesn't pick her, that doesn't necessarily mean that the texts were fake, because there is this other thing that she at least thinks is real. Like, there's a reason she thinks that he likes her.
Yeah, there definitely is, but I don't know. Based on what we've seen, I feel like other people on the show have made it more obvious that they like somebody, and then that person has not realized it. Then Mingyu has made it obvious that he likes Yisu, and then Yisu for some reason thinks that he has made it obvious, you know?
Well, I will
Based on what
counter
we've
that
seen.
also with the whole, like, what is it, Everland date, where he was, like, flirting with her hardcore all day. Like, that's also a pretty strong signal.
Okay.
Anyway.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I guess I think it's just Yisu's confidence. I don't know, like, based on what we've seen, like, would any other girl in the house, like, hardcore think Mingyu likes them because of what we've seen from Mingyu and Yisu?
I mean,
I don't think so.
Jimin would think that he liked her based on the beginning of the show.
I mean,
would hope.
what he did with Jimin was way more of a signal than whatever he's doing with Yisu. That's what I think. But
I don't know. They keep meeting up. They keep hanging out. They keep going on dates. I don't know.
Yeah, he's not going to pick her up from work school or whatever. But
She doesn't have to go to work school at all. They're just hanging out at home together all the time.
All right. Let's get into this.
Yeah. Let's maybe
Okay.
start the episode.
Where did we leave off at episode 11, though, Sarah? Where are we at
Okay.
here?
Last time there were double dates to go see cherry blossoms. We had Gyaru, Jiyoung, Jiwon, and Yisu. They went and had a bad time. Then we had Jumi, Mingyu,
Okay.
Hyushin, and Jimin, and they went and they had a good time.
Okay.
Everybody, I actually did my homework and wrote about last time this time, so I'm very proud of myself. Everybody seemed to want to talk about each other's charming points and if they would change the past. Jiyoung was sad because everybody likes her and she doesn't want to hurt people. And then all
Yeah.
the girls picked locations from, like, there were 4 different locations they could pick for this fancy spring flower date or whatever the fuck it's called. And then they got to invite 2 guys. But the guys don't know who invited them. They just know a location and there's some flowers or whatever. And that's what we saw last time.
Yeah. The big moment that I remembered was Gyaru had to, or didn't have to, but he chose to apologize to Jiyoung after his, gut reaction to finding out that Jiyoung had basically picked Mingyu at this point. And
Oh,
he-
yeah,
like,
that's
he
right.
did not
He did get a
realize-
little...
He did not realize how not in play he
The
was.
running he was.
Yeah. But then he made a very good apology afterwards, which seemed like it. Okay, maybe Jiyoung actually likes him now, but it seemed to be more. By the end of it, it seemed to be more of like a friendship thing. Than a
Yeah.
romantic
I don't
right?
think that swung things around romantically, but it did swing things around for my ending opinion of Gyaru. Because if it ended with him just, like, pitching a fit because he wasn't the one, I was gonna
Yeah,
not enjoy him as a human.
I still say like it wasn't that much of a fit relatively, but it did make her feel
Yeah.
bad. But also, like, probably she's gonna feel bad about it no matter what. But it still was a really good apology either way.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, and then we predicted based on who the girls picked, like, what the dates would be. And I thought, okay, maybe we were totally wrong about this based on Lizzie's comment.
Yeah.
But yeah, we turned out to get all these right. So I was like, okay, all right, well, what else is going to happen in this episode? Yeah, so we're going to get Jumi is going to go on a date with Gyaru.
Mm-hmm.
And then Jimin is going to go on a date with Jiwon. And then Mingyu is going to go on a date with Yisu. And Jiyeon is going to go on a date with Hyushin, which is what we predicted in the last episode.
Yes, it is.
And we are going to do it. Let's go.
Yeah.
The guys find the tickets on the table.
Yes. And they're all very, like, pretty and, like, have a flower, like a different type of flower for, like, each girl or whatever.
Yeah.
And they, like, spend a lot of time, like, over analyzing the words that are supposed to be the meaning of the flower or whatever to try to figure out who is who.
Yeah. The show put on the screen the words, the women included included the flowers they thought held the meaning of love in their tickets. And I'm not sure if this was they were prompted this by production. I would assume they were.
I think based on what when they come back around and talk about this in person at the end, I think that's exactly what happened. Like they had to give a specific answer for it.
Because this is also going to prompt it's going to prompt Jumi to like ask Galray what he thinks the meaning of love is, and then she's going to like ask all the other guys later too.
Yeah.
But not only is it a flower, like they also wrote like a phrase or like selected a phrase that I couldn't tell if the phrase doesn't go with the flower, does it? Like the flower is a separate meaning than the phrase, or I couldn't follow this.
I'm not sure. I assumed that the flower and the phrase went together because there's all these different meanings supposedly behind flowers that somebody had assigned to them at some point, and that's how it all went together.
I did not write down the meaning or phrases. Or maybe I wrote down the phrases later, but I did not write down the meaning of the flowers. Theoretically, could
I don't think they went into that separately at all.
Okay.
Like, I just wrote down the phrases later when they all get together and talk.
The guys were like saying what they thought the meaning of the flowers was, and I was like, "Is this just common knowledge, or are they just guessing? Like what? What?
Yeah, I don't know.
Are they being told what the meaning of the flowers was because the women were told what the meanings of the flowers were?
I thought they were just reading the thing under the flower. Who knows?
Okay, all right. Galray correctly guesses his ticket is from Jumi because Galray only has one.
Yes.
So he's going to be going with Jumi. They're not going to play any weird games where somebody else takes Jumi's ticket and then Galray doesn't have a date. They don't go in. Yeah. Basically. So yeah, Galray only has one, so he gets Jumi. And then Jumi's other one was Jiwon, which means now that you take away Jumi's ticket, Jiwon's only left with one ticket, which is going to be Jimin's.
Which I think he also correctly guesses.
Which they also correctly guess, because, I mean, it's Jiwon.
Yeah.
And then...
that leaves Hushin with Mingyu with two left.
Yeah, Hushin got Jimin's other ticket, but now he doesn't have that one to choose. So they're both choosing between either Yisu and Ji Young, but they don't know which is which.
Yes.
Mingyu guesses that the two blue tickets that Jiwon and Hushin got are from Jimin, which he's right about. But he's like, he's like, oh, I didn't get one. That must be from Jimin. Even though he has two tickets, he just like, yeah, those aren't from me. Or that must be Jimin because I didn't get one. I guess it's his logic. I don't know.
I think the logic was, well, Jiwon got this. It must be Jimin. You know, if the other one is Jumi.
Basically, they're gonna end up like guessing these all right. But like, what would have really stumped them? Like if I don't know if Jumi chose a weird second one, maybe it could have.
Well, I just feel like the fact that like Gyuri got one, like that's gonna be Jumi. Like, so if she didn't pick him, I was just like, well, fuck it. Two other guys, like they would never figure that out.
Yeah.
It's only the connection to Gyuri that got them to figure out her.
Yeah, because there isn't really any setup or reason that any other person would give a ticket to Gyuri to make this like more confusing.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, whatever. Yeah, Hushin and Mingyu can't tell which is Jiyoung and which is Yisu.
Like Hushin asks Mingyu like which one he wants. He gives him the option to like pick first, but he just can't seem to pick.
He can't come up with a reason. I think they look at the phrases first, and they're like, these phrases are pretty similar. Like it's hard to say who's who.
Mm-hmm.
But then Hushin says he wants to go to Tongyang because he thinks the gray-colored one is from Yisu. So Tongyang,
which is like the other one, yeah.
Yeah, Tongyang is like
pink one, I think,
like a peach-colored one, yeah.
Yeah.
And so he thinks the gray one's from Yisu, which I was like, oh, he really wants to avoid getting Yisu. But also, he preferred to have Jiyoung, also, if he's correct.
But also, this town is like famous for murals or whatever he wants to go see, so it's like a win-win-win for him.
Oh, is that what it is? Okay.
Like he does say that at some point that like there's a bunch of murals he wants to see there.
I wrote like, oh, he starts to like make this because they basically have to like negotiate like why are they picking between the two, and he's like, oh, I've always wanted to go to this town that conveniently is the person I would rather go on a date with, but maybe it's actually legit based on what you're saying. I was like, oh, of course he makes this about the town, even though that's not why he's saying it. But
could be a little column A, a little column B.
Yeah. When he says the thing about, oh, I think the gray one's Yisu, so I wanted the other one. Mingyu like makes a face, right?
Yeah, I don't know what that face means.
I usually don't invest a lot in the faces because it was one of those like cut to him making a face, which could be out of context. But if this was in context, like the only reason you would make a face is if like he wanted to go with Ji Young, right? Otherwise, he'd just be like, "Okay, sounds good."
I guess.
Unless he
Yes.
didn't believe, unless he just thought Hushin was wrong, and he was
Mm.
like, it was like, I don't know if that one's Yisu. I don't know.
Yeah.
At some point, they both start like smelling the tickets / flowers, and were they smelling it to see like if they could smell Ji Young on the tickets?
I just assumed they were trying to see if the flowers smelled a certain way that would make them think it went with one person or the other.
That doesn't make
I
any
don't know.
sense. I think they
They
were
were just
smelling the actual
delaying picking
tickets. They were
things.
like, did Jiyeon leave her scent on this ticket?
Maybe. There is one point during this where they're like, it seems like even though like it's very clear that these two tickets are from Yisu and Ji Young, like maybe they're not exactly sure that that one pairing is Ji Young for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
But Hushin's like, yeah, of course it is, because she would choose Mingyu. And Ji-won's like, still? Like something has happened that they like she wouldn't be into him anymore or something.
Yeah,
And then
what is Jiwon's problem? Like
I-
what is
but like later, like it sounds like this is an accurate read because of stuff.
Really?
You know, it's weird.
All right,
Well, yeah,
gotta let me know when that comes up.
I
have
will.
no idea what we're talking about.
But I think also like the last time like we see them spending time together was like the Everland date where he basically was flirting with Yisu all day, and
Oh.
so maybe that was more common knowledge and she felt a way about it. I don't know.
Jiyeon is gonna give us a sense of like she feels like she's done everything she could with Mingyu, and maybe she expressed that to Jiwon, and Jiwon took that as like, oh, she's done. She would rather go on dates with other people because she feels like she's gone as far as she can with Mingyu.
Or maybe
Maybe.
they've just been spending less time together in the house itself. Like could also be something.
I'm
that we
inclined to
don't
just
see.
not believe in Jiwon's judgment of any situation
Okay,
though.
okay.
So because Hushin is like, of course she's picking Mingyu. Like what? What are you talking about?
Yeah, but in the past he has not always been right about these things. I mean,
I guess that's
in
true,
this case
yeah.
he is, but he's not a
He seems to be in the
super
know.
reliable person on that.
He
front.
seems to be in the know right now.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah. Oh, I was wondering about this though. Do you think Yisu? The big mystery of this is why did Yisu pick Hushin as her second?
Because she needed to pick a second. She's already been on a date with Gaore. We think she went on a date with Jiwon that we didn't see
Yeah.
because nobody cared about it.
I think it's
And
just
the
good
only
strategy.
time, well, it might be good strategy, but the only time she spent outside of the house with Hushin was when they were digging her phone out of the trash. That wasn't very romantic, so have a proper date.
Yeah, I think it's just good strategy. Like if she was in the room and she was like, okay, Jiyoung's picking Mingyu and Hushin, like I'll pick the same two people because that basically gives her like a 50% chance if she was worried. Like I was thinking like, okay, she could have made it confusing if she like picked Gaore as her second or something, and then Gaore, now like all the guys have two choices,
Mhm.
and then that could have made it
Yeah.
very chaotic. Or if she picked Jiwon and then he chooses like the wrong one, and now Jimin is going with Hushin. It
Mm.
could have worked out some different ways, but I feel like she gave herself the best chance of going with Mingyu by choosing the same as Ji Young. But I don't know if
Do
she
we
got.
think
She
they knew
that.
that?
I don't know if like they do it in the same room and they talk about it. I kind of imagine they would a little bit, but
I don't know. I think they would probably just text production and not actually tell each other, you know?
I mean they're definitely in the same room because they have to decide the locations, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it looked like the name of the person they were inviting was like handwritten on the tickets.
Yeah, but
Now,
that could have happened.
It doesn't necessarily mean
anywhere.
it's their handwriting. Yeah, I mean, even
it
if
would
she,
probably be better if it wasn't their handwriting.
even if she didn't explicitly know, like, oh, Jiyeon has submitted her tickets and it's Mingyu and Hushin, like she also might just know
Assume.
that who she's gonna pick. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
So
fair.
I think she did the right thing. She made it a 50-50 and then she won the coin flip, essentially, is what happened. So I think that's good strategy. I don't know if she actually likes Hushin the second best or not, or she might not even care about the second one, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just speculating that she might have thought about this.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Eventually, Mingyu gives in and takes the gray ticket, is what it appeared to. That's how I would
Yeah,
describe it.
yeah.
He was like, he
Well,
seemed
it's like
kind
he
of reluctant.
refuses to make a decision, and it is made for him, basically.
Do you think he was reluctant because he eventually thought Hushin was right about whose ticket was whose, or he was just reluctant to make a decision? Because he was
I don't know
definitely
with this man.
reluctantly, he was like, all right, I'll go to whatever this place is that isn't
Sunchun?
the one that, no,
Yeah.
that's the one that Hushin wanted to go to. Whatever the other one is.
No, Sunchun.
Oh, Sunshine. Okay. Yeah. There's still a chance, though. I mean, I already spoiled it, but there's still a chance that Hushin was just wrong.
Yeah.
Going into this, we don't actually know that Hushin is
Mhm.
right. It's just he's going to be right.
Yeah.
All right. Ready for these dates?
Yeah, let's go.
All right. G1 and G-Min shows
G-Min.
up.
Yep.
G1 is like, I chose you.
That's a lie. That's just false.
That might have been the funniest thing anybody said in this episode. And he was not meant as a joke.
Yep.
It was a straight up a lie to her face.
Yep.
Everybody's gonna be like a little bit like makes it seem like they might have chose them, but he like straight up was just like, I chose you.
Yeah. From my option of one, I picked you.
Yeah.
Feel special.
I mean, he could have said I had two options and we're here.
I mean, except he really didn't. That one option got taken away
He
from him.
did get two tickets. He could have said, I got two tickets and I'm with you. But he was like, nope, I chose you. They're going to go on a train ride.
Yep.
Seems like it starts out pretty awkward, as you would think it would be, based on their last date, right?
It didn't feel like the most awkward.
Okay.
It was just
All, all of them kind of start out awkward. It's like,
that's true.
Get on a train. Now it's going to be a really long train ride. Actually, some of them, I think Galray and Jumi drove wherever they went.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why.
This was probably closer.
Closer, but like they all end up going to the same...
somewhere else. Yeah,
maybe they took a train after they drove somewhere. I don't know. We can get in. I kind of Google Maps a little bit to see what was going on with all these traveling times.
I think it just the date starts with the like everybody involved knows that this isn't going anywhere. So whatever. Let's just have a nice day.
Yeah. AKA awkward, but yeah.
Okay.
G1 has noticed G-Min's energy has changed recently.
Yeah, seems like she's having a hard time lately.
Lower energy.
And she just says she has a lot on her mind. So they don't really get to the bottom of that one.
Other than that, it really seemed like we got almost nothing from this train conversation, which inspired me to look up. Because there was a weird point where I was like, wow, this went from day to night to day. And I was like, oh, they must have been in a tunnel.
Yeah.
But then I looked up and it's like a 3 to 4 hour train ride, I think.
Oh, okay.
And we basically got nothing. They're going to Guregu, I believe is how you might pronounce that. So we get almost nothing from this train ride. You would think 3-4 hour train ride. They're gonna show Hushin and Ji-young. Their train ride is like 5 to 6 hours, I think.
Oh, wow.
So they're going a little bit further. So they actually end up sleeping. Also, this is kind of weird because I think this is literally coming off of last night, which was a night where a lot of them stayed up super late. Because I think they also like had to do the whole ticket selection thing last night.
Mm-hmm.
And especially like that we're gonna find out that conversation with like Jumi and Ji-young, where they were talking about the aftermath of Galray's apology to Ji-young or whatever.
Yeah.
Like it literally sounds like Jumi and maybe Ji-young like only got like 2 hours of sleep before these dates.
That's rough.
So everybody's like super tired. So maybe they didn't show G1 and G-Min sleeping on the train, but Hushin and Ji-young are gonna sleep on the train.
Yeah, they probably didn't show these two sleeping on the train because it was probably less cute because, like, they're obviously not gonna, like, try to maneuver a head on a shoulder or whatever.
Yeah, maybe they slept. I hope they didn't just sit there and not talk. And then that's why we didn't see anything, but whatever. Yeah. I'm fine with getting through this date quickly, so.
Yeah.
Every single one of these dates is going to be restaurant, outdoor cafe, second restaurant. Those are the three. Pretty much. Hushin and
more or less.
Ji-young do a little bit more, and that's about it. So they go to the first restaurant. Jiwon says he likes people who eat without restraint.
And she seems to eat a bunch.
Jimin proceeds to eat all the food in the restaurant. But again, not much conversation. That was about
Yeah. They do not have a lot of notes, except I think they said the restaurant was called the Marsh Snail, or there's something about a marsh snail involved in, I don't know. It was a name
Okay.
I wasn't expecting.
the Husok snail.
I mean, I would hope not that one, but, you know, like that,
Okay.
yeah.
And then next they go to a traditional Korean cafe, which is in like the middle of some like walled off like traditional Korean village, which is like part
and
of
there's
some
like a
sort of
garden, and it's
garden,
very
yeah.
like historic buildings and stuff.
These two of the dating locations, including this one, are going to include a bamboo forest, which I'm like, that seems pretty cool. I'd want to go to
Yeah,
a bamboo
yeah,
forest.
definitely.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
So yeah, they walk around and take photos of each other and stuff.
Yeah. I think Jimin is definitely still trying to be cute and flirty.
Mm-hmm.
But it really doesn't seem like we're getting anything from Jiwon.
Yeah.
Like nothing is gonna happen here.
Yeah, exactly.
They do like rehash their previous date a little bit.
Oh yeah, and he says exactly the thing that I said about their date, which is that they spent a lot of time talking about feelings, but they should have just spent some time getting to know each other.
Yeah, they agreed that they spent time talking about feelings, but I don't know. They they didn't really proceed to get to know each other on this date, at least from what we saw. So I don't know how interested they were in actually doing that.
Well, I think that's just like, this is going nowhere, so they're not gonna like put a lot of that in the edit, you know?
Yeah, that's fair. They both kind of agree that they are both in a one-sided love.
Yep.
Which is awkward because one of their one-sided loves is the person on the date.
Yeah,
That's so funny.
yeah,
All
it's super awkward.
Then they go to another restaurant.
There is a puppy there,
Yeah.
so that was fun.
Usually it's basically like daytime until they get to the second restaurant on all these dates.
Mm-hmm.
Except Hushin and Ji-young actually felt like they were like behind schedule, or maybe it's just they traveled further. Because it seemed like it was like almost nighttime by the time they left the cafe. And then they're gonna end up being
yeah.
like way later than everybody else at the meetup spot.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so all these second round, by the time it gets to the second restaurant, all these dates, it's like nighttime. Yeah. Jimin continues to try to be cute. Jiwon does nothing.
Yeah, pretty much.
Does Jimin eat all the food in this restaurant, Sarah?
Well, not all of it, but I don't actually remember. They don't make a comment on how well she eats in this one, I think.
Okay. Yeah. Jiwon basically says he's going to keep trying with Jiyoung, even if she's looking elsewhere.
Yep.
But the question is Jimin going to do the same thing? Will she switch before the end?
I don't know.
I don't know. I think she will.
I hope so.
I hope so.
But I found his whole
Actually, I don't know.
his reasoning, like he's just like, yeah, if somebody doesn't, like me, then I just assume that they don't know me well enough. I'm like, that is a cocky answer, sure.
Did he say that? Did he actually say
Yeah.
that?
Something along those lines, yeah.
Oh, I missed that. Wow.
Like, that's why he needs to keep trying, because he hasn't shown enough of himself yet. It's like, you might not just be everybody's cup of tea,
yeah.
man. Like,
Yeah.
that happens.
It's more like if somebody doesn't like it. Yeah, if somebody doesn't like me, it's because they haven't gotten to know me yet. Anybody that
Yeah,
knows
it's definitely
me
a
would like
them
me.
problem. It's not a me problem at all, of course.
Huh. Yeah, that's probably, it's like simultaneously like a healthy but also unhealthy mentality, right?
Yeah, you don't want to take that one too far. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. It's like anybody who knows me likes me. G1 is definitely not the only person with this, by the way. He's just actually saying it. I don't know if I've ever heard it said like that before, but yeah, some people are definitely like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Jimin tells Jiwon that the person she wants to spend time with the most, excluding Jiwon, is Hushin.
Yes,
She
because
says,
the time she spends with him is fun.
Yeah, not a super strong statement of romance, but it's like, yeah, the person I have the second most fun with is, or maybe the most fun, honestly.
Probably the most fun. I don't know that she has a lot of fun with Jiwon.
She might just have fun with him because whatever she's feeling in the moment, but yeah.
Yeah.
So I think the Mingyu thing is dead, right? Like,
Oh, the Mingyu thing has
I
been dead.
I wanted it
Was
so bad, but it's
was
not
the
coming. It's not coming
Mingyu
back.
thing ever even alive?
Oh, it
Like,
was
what
alive.
was it?
It was alive on this podcast. That's for sure.
But was it ever alive for Jimin?
Well, I mean, we'll
Huh.
never know. Was it ever alive for Jimin? You'd hope so, but maybe not.
All right, so that was a date.
That was
That
the end
was
of the
it.
date. Yeah. All right. All right. Jumi's going on a date with Gyaore.
Yes. And he just picks her up on the side of the road in his car.
Yeah, I actually wrote like Gyaore seems like he's really ready for a good time on this date. That was just the vibe when I got when he rolled up in the car and he like opened the door.
Mm-hmm.
He seemed like he was ready to have a good time, and like
Okay.
it maybe because he like knew it was going to be Jumi, so it wasn't like
Mhm.
he was arriving with this like maybe it's Ji Young, and like then he's like disappointed when it's not. But I don't know. I had good vibes from this date from the beginning because I was just like, all right, Gyaore seems like he's he seems like he might be open to something here. That's how I felt.
Okay.
And then they both seem happy in the beginning. Still awkward, like I don't know. You get in the car to go on a road trip, and it's like, okay, well, what should we talk about for the next 2+ hours? Or I don't know how far they're driving. But yeah, they're driving to their destination.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we find out Jumi only got like 2 hours of sleep. It sounds like.
Yep. We also find out that apparently, like I hadn't noticed this, but Gyaore never did not wear short sleeves in the house until like a few days ago. And then they flash back to when he wore a short sleeve shirt for the first time, and all the girls are like, "How big are those arms? What's going on over there?" And they're like super impressed, or at least mildly shocked. And then, so now there's this inside joke in the house of like he's supposed to wear a crop top on the final day so they can see how buff he is or something. And it's very silly.
Is it more like nobody wears t-shirts on this show? Because it is like a cold weather-ish time of year. So
I mean, it is like the beginning of spring. So
has
it's
anybody
wore
short sleeves on this show though? Or any of the guys? Have any of the guys worn short sleeves on this show? Until we saw. I don't know. In the flashback, though, Ji-young says, "Your arms are quite thick."
And it's funny because he like pulls his sleeve up all the way to his shoulder, and there's like this instant reaction from all the girls, and like you see it on his face. He's surprised by the whole thing.
Yeah, Jimin was impressed.
Mm-hmm.
And then I feel like Gyaore was a little embarrassed by the reaction, and surprised, like you said. I also felt like Jumi was embarrassed by it too. Like she was like turning around in her seat and like looking the other direction. And then Hushin, of course, was the one who started this joke. Hushin says, suggests he wear a crop top on the final selection. And then everybody starts cracking up laughing when Hushin said that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's why it's an inside joke because of Hushin. But yeah, apparently Gyaore's ripped. And we might never know until the final selection.
Yeah. Exactly.
All right. Gyaore then says, back in the real time in the car, he says he didn't bring any short sleeves for their date because Jumi was bringing it up again. And then Jumi suggests maybe we should buy one.
She's excited to see those guns again, you know?
Yeah. Jumi's pulling out the big guns, which is encouraging Gyaore to pull out the big guns. I'm rooting for Jumi to win over Gyaore. Absolutely.
That'd be great.
All right. They arrive at a restaurant.
It is like right next to a river, and it's got very pretty view. And he took some scissors and cuts up her noodles. And that's most of my notes about this date.
Yeah. I have Gyaore claims he figured out it was Jumi's ticket from the phrase.
Not based on the fact that it was the only ticket he got. Of course not.
Does not mention that it was the only ticket he got. Which, I mean, I want to believe that the women know, like, what tickets the other women sent. So, like, Jumi probably was like, bro, you're the only ticket. I know you got the only ticket for me.
But yeah, her phrase was, "I'll make you happy." And then they cut back to a bunch of scenes of her just, like, taking care of people and, like, oh, yes, this is what I do. And so
yeah, a lot of the phrases
supposedly put it together.
A lot of the phrases were like super short statements, but the prompt was like a phrase that is the meaning of love. Mm-hmm. So like her phrase means like love is making people happy or whatever. Like, is that what it's supposed
Yeah.
to mean?
Something like that.
Okay.
Like,
all right.
caring about the happiness of others.
Because we get to the end of the
Yeah.
show and Juby's going to ask like the table, like what the meaning of love is, but we only get the guys' answers to the question. Because I guess it's like the women have already answered the question.
No, but they go around and talk about all the women's stuff too.
But it's because they already wrote it on the
Yeah.
yeah.
They don't have to come up with it like spot
So-
on. They just
but I-
reiterate what they told production earlier.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this isn't. I didn't really put this all together until like right now. Like, Jumi is basically only asking this question. It's because like the women already answered it, so she wants the guys to answer it too.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm putting this all together right now. Sorry. Jumi does ask Gyaore about his talk with Ji-young,
Yes.
and then Gyaore says it was a good talk. It's very clear things are clean right now. Jumi doesn't really push for specifics.
Mm-hmm. Well, she did already get everything from Ji-young's side about it, so
Yeah, I mean, you would think it would be good to hear Gyaore's side too, especially for Jumi. But she says that he can tell her later, and I wrote like Jumi probably still can't tell if she has a chance though, right? Like,
well, didn't they like they
It's
went
hard
on
to-
a date where they talked through everything and was like they shut it down, right? Like he was like, "I'm gonna pick Ji-young forever," and she was
Yeah.
like,
but that was before
"Okay."
last night though.
Do you think that really changes it for him though?
Not significantly, but it enough that there could be a chance. Why not? Yeah.
I mean, I would hope there could be, but like if I was Jumi, I would just assume that
I'm not giving my
Like-
hopes up if I'm Jumi, but am
Yeah.
I like, oh, there might be more of a chance than I thought there was now.
I would be like, we can at least like leave the show together, dude. You know, we can just pretend. You know,
Okay.
like come on.
I don't think Jumi's here for that. She don't care. She don't care
I
if she
mean-
doesn't leave.
That's true. She is a cool lawyer. Why would she give a fuck? She wouldn't. You're right.
I actually wrote a lot down from this first restaurant, by the way.
Okay, yeah, go for it.
Jumi says that after Ji-yeon talked to Gyaore, it seemed like Ji-yeon had been freed, but also somehow looked heavy-hearted too.
Mm.
She says that Ji-young and her agreed that Gyaore was a good person, and they wanted to be friends together forever.
Oh yes.
I wrote down, is Jumi giving Gyaore hope that Ji-young might be interested in him now?
Yeah, it is some weird like stuff
Jumi,
that he
Jumi,
could
stop.
overthink.
Jumi,
Yeah.
stop talking. just
Yep.
just like you might have a window. Just stop talking about.
Stop
Ji-young.
screwing yourself over here. Yeah.
Yeah, because basically Jumi goes on to like describe her feelings for Gyaore as if like they're the same as Ji-young's feelings for Gyaore.
Mm.
Which, if I'm Gyaore, I'm like, well, you told me that you like me, and if you're saying that Ji-young's the same, then she likes me too. Is like if I'm thinking optimistically, you know?
I guess I was coming at it from a like she has now downgraded her feelings where she's like, I get it, you don't have feelings for me, so I would like to be friends after the show as well.
That definitely could be what she meant, but if you're just sitting there as Gyaore and you're, you know, any chance any
Yeah.
good sign you're looking for, like this feels like it's a good sign
Yeah.
that
you're
Ji-young
not wrong.
might be up for it. Yeah. So yeah, a little bit of a weird back and forth there for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, ultimately probably this three group of friends will not be none of them will be picking each other. Or
yeah, absolutely.
there will be no match between them, and then they'll just
Right.
be friends. All right, next they drive to a tea farm,
Yes.
which is like, yeah, another garden cafe
Mhm.
tea spot.
It's pretty. They have some tea.
But yeah, I have nothing from this.
Nothing at all happens.
But then they go to
relevant.
another restaurant for dinner.
Yes.
And I guess we already knew this, but they talk about how there's only 1 week left on the show.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we're going to find out that they're going to like all meet up at a separate city, which is on like the south ocean side of Korea.
Okay.
But are they never going back to the house? Because like they're staying overnight.
They are staying overnight.
I don't know if they're
Um,
going to go back to Seoul eventually, or if the show's just going to
I
the
don't
last
know.
week is going to be here. I'm not sure.
It is kind of matching what we're seeing on Transit Love, where they like travel away and then don't come back.
Yeah, Transit Love made it clear that they're not going back to the house.
This might just be a thing that happened. Did this happen in season, 1 or 2?
I do not recall this happening in Heart Signal 2. I thought they went
Okay.
back to the house.
Well, maybe they're just going to spend a day and then come back because they all did enough traveling on this one day and they're all
Maybe.
very tired.
I don't remember this like meet up at a new city thing, but I could just not be remembering it. Yeah, so they're in the restaurant, Jumi and Galray. It's still hard to know exactly what Galray is thinking. I still like, okay, has he given up on Ji-young or is he open to Jumi? Like I've gone back and forth on if he actually throughout this date I was back and forth on if he's actually thinking about Jumi.
Yeah. He does at some point say that he'd like to go on more dates with Jumi.
Yeah.
But then he follows that up with, I still want to return the favor for what you've done for me, which sounds like, I just want to hang out with you during this awkward time at the end where you have no one to date. Let's be no date buddies.
Oh, that's how you took it?
How I came away
I took it
with.
as he is still interested in her, but he didn't want to make it seem like that meant that he would pick her in the end.
Okay.
So he's saying like, to me, I got the impression like he's like, okay, the Ji-young thing is done, but I still might pick her in the end. But also, you're the person I want to go on dates with.
See, I don't get that mindset though. Like, if you have come to terms with it's being done with someone else, and there is a new person that you're like, I've been with them, I'll go on some dates with them. Why would you not just pick the new person you want to go on some dates with?
Yeah, I understand that. It's like, yeah, I'm saying he's done, but it's like if something happened where Ji-young was interested in him, of course he would go back to liking her more, you know. Okay. So it depends on your perspective of like how do I answer the final decision on the show? Is it like, do I say it's the person I like the most, or do I try to pick the person that's gonna pick me back and I kind of like them? It depends on how you want to do that. But you are more inclined to just choose the person that you think you have a chance with, right?
You know, like real dating, you know? When
I guess
someone
it's weird,
doesn't pick you, go, oh, look around, here's another one. Let's try this out, you know? Like,
yeah. But you also let's say he likes Jumi, but he doesn't want it, he doesn't like her enough that he wants to make it like a big deal. Maybe he doesn't want to pick her and then make it seem like a big thing. I don't know. I understand both sides of it.
But then he shouldn't be like, I want to go on more dates with you. He should be like, we should be friends after this, you know? And then they can meet up later as friends, and then it can naturally evolve or not.
I think he does want to go on more dates with her, but doesn't want to make it be like, oh yeah, I'm done with Ji-young. I just want to make Jumi feel like he's done with Ji-young and only is thinking about Jumi now. You know? I don't know. I understand both perspectives. It's you can only answer it based on how strong your feelings actually are. You're more of like, either you like somebody or you don't like them. And you can only like one at a time.
No.
I know you're not saying
I'm just
that,
like,
in terms of like, I don't know.
I'm just like, don't hold on to things that are clearly not going to work out. And all of this would be solved with just some more open, direct conversation.
Now, is this something you practice, Sarah, or like have you ever held on to something that wasn't going to work out?
Of course, I've held on to something that wasn't going to work out. I was going to say too long.
I was going to say, 100%. I don't think you're like.
You know that this is happening.
I know. That's why I was like, it's just like. I mean, this is your advice, but you don't actually practice your own advice.
Or have I learned from my past?
There you go.
We're ready to move forward, try and help other people too. And by other people, I mean people on this reality show who are never.
So would you go back in time? Would you go back in time and change how you handled whatever?
God, I would hope so. Yeah.
Oh, really? That's okay.
Yes.
I always assume people that kind of hang on to stuff like they don't necessarily regret it. But
well, I mean, if I hung on to it and then it worked out, then it was a good choice. But I hung on to it and it didn't work out. It wasn't a good choice.
Okay. I feel like usually the takeaway you get from people is like, I hung on to this and it didn't work out, but I learned a lot about myself, or like, I don't know. You can take a good spin out of it regardless of regardless of the outcome, you I mean, you still got to have feelings, which is a nice experience, right?
I'm not saying erase the entire thing altogether. I'm just saying at a certain point, let it go because it's
Okay.
dead, like.
Okay. All right. Well, I don't think it's so bad to have unrequited feelings, At least you're having feelings.
I mean, at a certain point, you got to move on.
If you want to. I mean, if you're not hurting anybody, feel how you want to feel.
I mean, but ultimately, at the end of the day, you are hurting yourself by not moving on.
Maybe it depends on your
If
perspective.
if you're out here trying to find the one or whatever bullshit love story you want to tell yourself, holding on to a thing that's never going to happen isn't going to help you get there. So
I mean, if you're holding on to it, like being like, oh, there's still a chance this is going to happen, that's not healthy. But like, if you're like, yeah, I feel the way I feel, and I'm not going to actively try to get over it, but I also know it's never going to happen. Like, if you're reasonable about it, I don't think I think it's fine.
You'll miss other possibilities or other
Maybe.
options.
It's okay. What if you just, you love the person you love for the rest of your life and you stay single because that's fine too, right?
Okay. I guess if that's what you want to do, you do
Yeah.
you boo. But honestly, it's better to probably move on.
Okay.
That is the moral of the story of this date. Maybe move on.
I had a lot more before they start talking about that, though. Let's see. What else do I have? Galray admits that he thought she wouldn't be cheerful on this date based on how the last date went. But then he encourages her to ask questions about him or whatever she's thinking about, which is nice.
Mm-hmm.
And then Jumi admits that she did think based on the last date that he rejected her. But she admits she can't easily get over her feelings.
Yeah.
And then she asks him about Ji-young because she assumed that he also wouldn't be able to just get over his feelings about Ji-young.
Mm-hmm.
And then, weirdly, Galray doesn't say much in return of this. I'm just talking edit here. And then Jumi says, before Galray really says anything, you might have moved on, but she might not have. Okay. Is that what, again, this is like, Jumi's like, you might still have a chance.
That is so...
Isn't it?
It's such a... Yeah.
What does she say?
It's such a weird thing. I don't know.
And is this just what Jumi thinks based on the conversation with Ji-young? Or is she actually repeating something that Ji-young said? Or maybe something that Galray just said, but it got edited out? I actually am a little confused by that statement.
I cannot remember what we actually saw of her conversation with Ji-young about his apology or whatever.
The way I remember it is that Ji-young was saying some positive things about Galray and was being very reflective and I don't know, she was sounding very logical or empathetic, or I don't know. She seemed very mature based on her reaction to it. And then I remember Jumi being like, wow, Galray must like you because you're so amazing with your reaction to all this or something. So I thought we were going to get Jumi trying to act more like Ji-young on this date or something. But I don't know. They ended up staying up super late.
Yeah. So she's probably saw her saying all these positive things about Galray, and maybe that's where this thing she's saying is coming from.
And I think that's if you're Jumi and you're super tired and it's late at night and Ji-young was saying that stuff, I could see her interpreting it that way.
Okay. Yeah.
So I'm guessing that this is just Jumi's perspective, and that kind of makes this date even more awkward because Jumi is kind of going to this date thinking, oh, Galray actually has a chance with Ji-young, and knowing how Jumi is, she's probably I don't want to get in the way of that.
Yeah.
And if anything, she wants to help him probably. So I don't know. I feel like she's been trying to kind of give him a pep talk a little bit.
I mean, her phrase on her ticket did say, "I'll make you happy." So she's trying to make him happy. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And then earlier, Jumi asked Galray about the meaning of love. And then Galray is going to answer that now.
He says loyalty.
Yeah. What consistently came to his mind first was loyalty. Once I start a relationship, I can't break up easily. Once my heart starts going in that direction, ... Don't get the rest of his sentence, I don't think.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there is actually something a little bit weird about how Galray is edited here. I don't know if it necessarily means that he's going to end up picking Jumi, but I don't know. I was trying to think about like what could they be editing him out.
Mm.
But I don't know. I have my fingers crossed that this Galray Jumi thing's gonna happen. Whether
Yeah,
whether
yeah, okay.
whether it's like, Galray is actually over Jiyoung, like that's probably not gonna happen. But is he gonna get to the point where he's willing to pick Jumi? I think it's definitely a possibility.
Yeah, I hope so. I like their dates together, when they're not just talking about Ji-young, but they seem to have a good time together.
Yeah.
I think they're a good match.
Yeah. And I didn't know how to take like when he was talking about the meaning of love and once I start a relationship, I can't break up easily. Once my heart starts going in that direction, ... It seems like he would be referring to Ji-young, right? Like it's like
Yeah.
but it's kind of weird where he's like, once I start a relationship, I can't break up easily. But he never really started a quote unquote relationship with Ji-young.
Right.
But his heart did move in that direction. So maybe to him, it's like, oh, he's in a whatever emotional state of a relationship or whatever. So I don't know. Something seemed to get cut off of what he was saying. But if you just look at what he said, it seems like it applies to Ji-young more than it does Jumi.
Yeah, yeah.
And then this is where he then says he wants to go on more dates with Jumi. And then, yeah, he wants to return the favor for what she's done for him. He says if they go on one more date, then he won't leave the show with any regrets. So that seems kind of meaningful.
I guess.
I don't know what he wants to say on one more date that he can't say now.
Yeah.
So that's a little weird, but
hmm
I don't know. I think it means something that he wants to go on one more date with Jumi.
Yeah.
It's at least at the point where he's like, it's worth spending time with other people.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah, exactly.
Before he was like, if he had his way, he'd be spending all his time with Ji-young.
Exactly.
And then Jumi asked if there's anyone else he wants to date, and he says no one in particular. So that feels like he's moved on to the point of how he's going to spend his time, whether or not he's moved on emotionally. That's where you want to be, Sarah, right? You can still feel the way you want, but just you use your time in other ways. It's fine.
Okay.
And the what the hosts bring up is like he has to feel like he needs to move past Ji-young at this point because like he literally knows that Ji-young didn't pick him. Like it wasn't the top two. And we theorized maybe she chose maybe Galray is the second one over Hushin, but because of what happened the previous night, like she didn't want to make Galray feel like he had a chance. After like basically just rejecting him. So she ended up picking like the one other person that wasn't part of that date where because she essentially rejected Galray and Ji-won on the same date.
Yeah.
So she picked the other person that like hadn't been outright rejected yet, but also Hushin might be the second. I don't know. It's hard to say.
Yeah.
My thing is though, like Ji-won has to know the same thing that Galray knows, right? Like he knows that he didn't get a thing from Ji-young either. Like,
but he has that confidence of, oh, you don't like me? It's because you don't know me well enough yet. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I guess he has that. Like it could be partially because he was like not on the show at all.
Yeah. I mean that is fair. He's not been around.
But like I also feel like I don't really know Ji-young, but I also feel like I don't really want to get to know Ji-won. Sorry, Ji-won. I was talking about Ji-won.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe Ji-won has some ground to stand on with that, but I don't know. All right. Next, we're gonna see Hushin waiting for his date.
Yes.
And it's Ji-young.
And I wrote. We don't actually.
Yeah. I wrote, phew, okay, we were right about this. Like based on Lizzie's comment, I was like, oh, we're gonna be wrong about like somehow Hushin and Yisu are about to go on a date.
Could you imagine?
Could you even imagine? Yeah. But no, we got all the dates right.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ji-young's going with Hushin and Yisu's going with Mingyu.
But we only really get to see them meet up and Hushin be very relieved / excited that it worked out in his favor.
Yeah, I first wrote, oh, Hushin is so relieved it's not Yisu.
Yeah.
But then like Hushin, we could actually see his hands for a little bit, like he was holding something. His hands were definitely shaking, right?
Yeah.
And he starts like crying a little bit. So I think he is actually like, of course he's happy it's Ji-young, but I think it's actually more happy that it's Ji-young than it is glad that it's not Yisu.
Oh yeah, yeah. And it's probably like this is my like last big chance to like try to get this to work out.
Yeah. It is kind of like the biggest date of the season, and theoretically he's going on the date with the person that he wants to.
Right.
He's essentially the
Yeah.
luckiest guy of the season. He's going on
Yeah.
he's going on the most important, biggest date of the season. I don't know if this date's really the most important, but it's it's the most time you get to spend with somebody, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
All right, but then we cut over to Mingyu and Yisu, and we're gonna do their date first.
He's got a big smile when she walks up.
Okay, but I wrote Mingyu awkwardly sees Yisu, and then he like double check confirms with her that she actually sent him this ticket and that she's like supposed to be here. Did you? He was
Isn't
like,
he just like kind of flirting with her?
"You think so?" I thought he
So-
was like, "Did you send me this ticket?" Like, because like I think they're all meeting around the same like central like transportation hub, except for maybe Jumi and Gyaore. Like they're all
Yeah,
meeting
yeah.
at the train station in Seoul. So like in his mind, he might be like, "Oh, maybe you're not going on the date with me, but you're just walking in this direction, but going to another guy." So
Okay.
he's like, so you gave me this ticket and like you're supposed to be going on a date with me? She's like, yeah. He's like, okay. If that's flirting, that's weird flirting.
I mean,
But-
it's Minkyu. Minkyu does weird
I-
flirting.
I guess so. All right. Well, I thought it was awkward.
I mean, he went on a date with Jiyoung and said she looked like a fish. He says some weird shit sometimes.
I mean, he might think she looks like a fish. The same as he might think that she might not have been supposed to have been.
I guess.
They're gonna take the train too. Mingyu does say, I feel like the subtitles are weird here because
Okay.
it was also a weird shot where I couldn't actually tell if he was saying it or not. But he says, "I'm glad it was you, Yisu," but the subtitles like put her name in it in a way that like, or I'm glad it was Yisu.
Oh.
But that the phrasing of that makes it seem like he's like saying it in a confessional to like the producers. But I don't know, maybe somebody just put Yisu's name in there instead of the word you or something.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Because like I don't know, it was weird how it was phrased. But whatever.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mingyu goes on to explain on the train that him and Hushin had to choose between the two destinations.
And that they were really like digging into the like meanings of the
Yeah.
flowers instead of the locations to try to figure out who was sending which tickets.
And then he also says that they did guess correctly on whose was whose.
Yes.
And he says like they thought a lot before picking, but doesn't say how they eventually decided, which was like
Yeah.
Hushin chose and he was like, fine.
But then she says like, oh, it was so funny. I was actually gonna pick that other town, Tonyong,
Yeah.
but I lost rock, paper, scissors, so Jiyoung got to pick that town instead. And he has this reaction that I don't know how to describe it exactly. Like he's like looking up and he's sighing, and he's just like, I don't know if he's relieved that it didn't go that way, disappointed that it was so close and he could have been with Jiyoung instead, or just like annoyed that he confirms that Hushin got Jiyoung. Like I don't know what this reaction is exactly.
I'm inclined to assume it was like, oh, I was so close to getting Ji Young. But also I wrote like I mean, you said the thing about Hushin now with the town, but my initial reaction was like, I do not think the dates would have been different if the destinations were different. Like assuming like the phrases and the flowers would have been the same, which is how I think they figured it out. I don't know. Maybe Hushin really wanted to go to this place and that was his decision, but he also said he thought Jiyoung was that one. So I ultimately I think they would have gone on the dates with the same people, just at a different location.
Well, like, what was the ultimate reason? Like, he thought the one was Yisu, was just that it was the gray colored one. Like, I feel like they did not have a lot to go on because the phrasing and the flowers were like really similar.
Yeah, but then they talk about the phrasing and they were different. Like Jiyoung's was something about patience, which at least based on the English was like, oh, that's much more of a Jiyoung thing than whatever the other one was. I don't even know what the other one was.
Yeah.
But maybe it was close enough that maybe they were both things that could apply to Jiyoung, and they, I don't know.
Yeah,
but
it's
I
not
don't.
super clear.
My best guess is that Hushin would have just come up with another reason to want the one he thought was Jiyoung if they had switched destinations. But,
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Mingyu wants this date to be Jiyoung, I'll be honest. But
Okay.
I'm super invested at this point, but
Yeah. I just never know what's going on in his brain. He confuses me. So, I don't know.
I mean, this isn't confusing if you know what he's thinking. This specifically.
Does anyone knows what? Just do you?
I mean,
he
knows what
thinking?
he's thinking.
Okay. He's literally the only one.
All right. Mingyu tells Hushin picked Tang Yang because Hushin hoped that it was Jiyoung.
Mm-hmm. And then I think he says, everyone chose well.
Yeah. And he doesn't say that Hushin was trying to avoid her, but that also might have been a reason. Avoid Yisu.
I don't think he was actually trying to avoid her. I think it was just like he was down to it was Jiyoung or Yisu, and he wanted to go with Jiyoung.
Yeah, but if he had like Yisu and Jumi, like he's picking Jumi, right?
Maybe.
Okay. Yeah, Mingyu says everyone chose well, but he's not like my feeling is like he's like, oh, all these dates he's assuming, okay, we got all the we guessed correctly what all the dates were. Like, this is a good configuration of dates.
Yeah.
So everybody did well. We didn't end up like going on like Jimin didn't go on a date with Yao Rei or like something that would make no sense.
Yeah.
So from that perspective,
what would that even be?
Yeah, exactly.
That would be a ridiculous.
So like
date.
from that perspective, everyone chose well. It doesn't really mean like he's like, yeah, I'm so satisfied that I'm on this date with Yisu. You know,
Okay.
It doesn't really mean that necessarily.
I feel like it implies that, but okay.
Yeah, it's something you say if you want to say something nice,
Okay,
but not
fair.
actually lie.
Okay.
Yes, they arrive and they drive to their first destination, which is another bamboo forest. Let's go.
This one's really cool, though. I feel like this one's cooler.
It's bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like the restaurant is inside it.
Yeah.
And like what if you're by the windows is just like bamboo. It's so cool.
Yeah. Very nice. Yisu asked Mingyu about Jimin. She knows that he chose her every time pretty much before she got there, but wants to know what's going on with Jimin lately. Mingyu says,
he says, I don't know.
I mean, he actually probably doesn't. I mean, it's like she's asking, like, how do you feel about Jimin now? Is I guess what she's asking, but she doesn't like, phrase it that way. She's like,
maybe he literally is answering like, what is she doing?
Yeah, what is she up to lately? And she's like, I don't know who she likes.
Okay.
I don't know what he definitely like doesn't really want to talk about Jimin is the vibe.
But then she's like, how could your feelings disappear like that? So somehow she got to, you don't really feel anything for her anymore. Or
maybe that's how she interpreted. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. But then, yeah, Mingyu doesn't really seem like he wants to talk about it.
But then he says some more stuff than he normally gets shown saying.
Yeah.
So
what he says is, I don't know how much I can say. I've been keeping my heart open, but I never thought she was serious. With someone who is too mysterious and confusing, my feelings can't develop that much.
Really? When it's confusing, when people are, this is some shit for this man to say. He's been so fucking confusing and mysterious to other people. Okay.
This is your big reaction moment?
Nope. This is just the beginning.
Now, again, his mysteriousness and confusing for us is because he's the main character on a TV show where his selection is mysterious. Right.
Sure, okay.
I mean,
but I can't yell at the edit. I can only yell at him right now.
I mean, Yisu is definitely confused, unless she's not. But I wouldn't say the other three women are confused. I guess Jiyoung is a little bit, right? Jumi and Jimin aren't confused about Mingyu. Or maybe they don't know where he ultimately like is at this point. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I would say Jiyoung is definitely confused. Jimin doesn't care. Jumi has moved on past him. She doesn't care either.
Yeah. But the kind of confusing Mingyu is talking about is like, oh, it really seems like Jimin likes me, but at the same time, it seems like she doesn't. And that's confusing.
Oh, it's like when we go on dates, we seem like we have a good time, but then she doesn't text me? You mean like when he goes on dates with Jiyoung, they seem like they have a really good time, but then he doesn't text her?
Supposedly.
So weird.
Supposedly, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, by the time they were going on dates, they weren't able to text each other. But we're seeing that supposedly he's not texting her.
Okay, then going on dates, being super cute, and then flirting with another girl at the double date the next day. You know,
I mean, if anything, I feel more bad for Yisu on this, but maybe that's because I don't think he's picking Yisu. But it's fair. It's fair. Like no matter who he picks, that other person was probably confused.
I feel bad for both of the women involved with. Like, I think by the end of this date, I don't like Mingyu anymore.
Really?
I'm
What
I'm like
happened
kind
on
of
this
I'm
date?
just kind of fed up with him.
What
I'm just
happened?
kind of fed. Just he goes on to talk some more, and I'm just like
Okay.
not vibing.
I feel like he goes on to talk and he's like, "Yeah, I like Ji Young or Ji Min if she liked me back."
But yeah, I also feel like this stuff he's saying here is like partially true. Like, yeah, it's definitely like I could see that he wouldn't think she was being serious and whatever, but I still think he also still has some feelings about Jimin.
Oh yeah, I mean the
Like,
way he says it, it's like, oh, if he knew she was serious, he'd be interested.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's get to more of this date. I do not know what you're about to talk about. Yeah, no, they go to the like a wetlands national park / garden, and they take
It's
pictures.
really cute. They take pictures. They take some good pictures.
Yeah, they're pretty good. I liked the group of 4 from last episode better.
I just mean like
Oh, like
technically, like
Oh,
they
yeah.
take good pictures. Like,
yeah, I always wonder. Like sometimes it looks like they're using the direct like whatever the phone took. They're just putting that on the screen, and other times I'm like, did they like
they
enhance-
probably post
they
processed
enhanced
it.
it?
And
Yeah, did they
everything.
process this one a little bit to make it look?
Well,
really
this one
good? I don't
they're
know.
using like a full camera. It's a
Oh, the fancy camera.
It's not a
Oh, okay. I didn't notice that.
cell phone camera.
Okay. Nothing else though. Just take pictures, right?
Yeah. Oh,
All
well,
right.
when they look at the pictures in the camera, they're leaning close and being cute. Date stuff. Good job.
Yeah. I gotta look at the camera somehow.
Okay.
If I was on this show, like I'm not gonna try. Like I don't know. I look at what Mingyu's doing. And I'm just like this. I mean, even if I liked another girl more, I would act like this on a date.
Okay.
Maybe some of the specific stuff that you're bringing up, I'm trying to remember, like from other episodes. Maybe not. Like I don't know. I don't think like him leaning in to look over the cameras. Like
I'm just saying it
It's
was
like-
cute. I'm not saying it means a
he's
lot. I'm just
flirting
saying they.
so hard with this leaning.
No, I'm just saying it's a cute date. I enjoyed watching this part of the date. That's
Oh,
all I mean with this.
okay.
Date, they got cute little moments. Good job. It's
Okay.
not a whatever weird other dates we've seen where like nothing is happening. Yeah.
Okay. So you like how he's acting, but also don't like how he's acting.
I'm saying this is cute date TV time. This is fine. This is
Okay.
acceptable.
Okay. They get to the second restaurant, dinner restaurant.
Hmm.
Yisu explains why she likes Mingyu, or why she liked Mingyu's comment about her from the charming quality game that they played the other day.
Yeah, he had talked about how when she looked him in the eye, like it made him really focus on the moment in the conversation. And then
Yes.
like eyes she thinks are super important.
Yeah.
And like how she chooses to look at people and noticing how people look at her like is meaningful to her.
Yeah. So he happened to say something about eyes, and she was like, yes, that's my whole existence is eyes.
Yeah.
A little weird, only because like we seen a scene where like Mingyu is really looking her in the eyes. Like I feel like we haven't.
We get a little bit of it here. I think when we do get a flashback to their first lunch date, he might be looking like making eye contact with her. But like historically, he is bad at eye contact. At
Yeah,
least
like-
theoretically, when he really likes someone, he cannot look in their eyes.
Yeah, like he definitely doesn't make eye contact a lot. And he's definitely made eye contact with her, but I can't think of like a moment that was really highlighted on the show of them making like really good eye contact. And like
Yeah.
maybe that's an indicator that like, oh, that's what the show is hiding that we haven't seen. And maybe that's some evidence for him, like him and Yisu's
Yeah.
relationship being more than what we've seen so far.
And I could see
Um,
that being really hard to like capture on TV. Like when you have good eye contact with someone and you have a moment, like a connection like that, like
Well-
I don't know how you get that
Well, the way they do it
through.
is like the way they do it on this show is they show two people like looking each other in the eyes, and then they cut to the host freaking out about it.
Yeah, but that's like a generated situation, right? Like how
Yeah.
do you capture that happening naturally? Like you might not even know that it's happening between these two people as like the producer on this show.
Yeah. The editors would have to like see it, put it in the cut, and then the host would have to react to it, which we haven't gotten. So
Just saying, it's an easy thing to miss, you know?
I guess so,
like,
but we've gotten it from other people, I think. Yeah, so I don't know. Like, it's just as equally a thing. Like, there's just as equal a chance that like Mingyu like couldn't think of what to say, so he said this thing about making eye contact, and then Isu's like, "Oh my gosh, this guy gets me." But like Mingyu, he was just like, "Oh, I just happened to say that because we had to say something."
Maybe it's legitimate, you know? Like he's found somebody he can make eye contact with and feel comfortable.
Well, like I think we said this last episode. Like he makes as much, if not more, eye contact with other people from what we've seen, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't understand this boy.
I mean, I understand it if he just happened to say that and Yisu thinks it's a big deal. Like that's what makes the most sense to me.
Okay.
Yeah. Yisu asks Mingyu if there's anything he's curious about her about. Mingyu asks her why she doesn't worry about the other women, meaning you should be worried that I like someone else.
It is such a weird thing to ask someone. Like, why aren't you more paranoid that somebody else might steal me away?
But like it
what?
makes sense. It makes a lot of sense if he's like, oh, like you think I'm gonna pick you in the end, and like I want to prepare you for the fact that I might not.
I don't know. I feel like this is some weird shit to bring up if you're not picking this person. Like
if
this
you're
could
not
be a
picking
fun,
them?
like this could be a fun, silly conversation if it's like, yeah, I'm all in on you, but why are you so confident about it? Instead of like, what? Why are you so confident? I'm not in. Like it's just a totally different tone, and I don't feel like he takes that incredulous tone. And it's a weird conversation to have on a date. I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me from that framing.
Oh, really? I mean, I think this makes perfect sense.
As he's trying to ease her into the idea of maybe it's not working out.
Like we're at the point where there's only a week left in this show. You still think I'm picking you. Maybe this is the time that I kind of let you know that maybe I will not be picking you.
This man literally broke up with her a week ago.
I know, and she still thinks that he's picking her.
That's because the next day he flirted with her all day at an amusement park. If anyone is confused, it is entirely his fault.
That's fine, but he's trying to make it more clear now.
Okay.
Yeah, Yisu actually explains it in a way that makes sense, though. Or it makes sense if this is how she's experienced whatever happened between her and Mingyu. Like, she thinks Mingyu said something that made it clear about his feelings towards her. And then she also thinks that, like, he must have said something about the kind of woman. This is my theory. He said something about the kind of women he likes, and Yisu thinks that what he said applies to her. And then she also thinks that the other three women in the house are not like her. So therefore, Mingyu's comments could not be about the other women in the house. And therefore, Mingyu was super clear about his feelings towards her. That's my best guess. That's like kind of how she explains it without the specific of the moment of like what he said that was clear.
I think if that were the case, she would say something along the lines of like her second point would be the more important one, because she's even says like, secondly, and this is really superficial, and goes into how she's very different from the other girls, like visually. If it were that, I think she'd be like, you said you liked whatever woman type of like tall women, and I'm the only tall one, so of course it's me. Whereas she's here like, I thought you expressed your feelings very clearly to me, and since it's you who told me, I trusted you, so obviously that's why I'm confident. And then she adds in the thing about how she looks different from the other women.
Okay. So you're more inclined to believe that like Yisu's definition of clear is correct and not a misread.
I think he said something to her that a reasonable human would think is a clear indication that he's into her.
Oh, okay. I am not inclined to believe that.
Okay.
Here's my other thing with Yisu. I also get the vibe that like Yisu is acting confident, but she's not actually 100% confident. But she's just like
Oh yeah,
confident enough to act 100% confident, you know?
yeah, yeah. I would
So
agree on that.
that's
front.
why I don't know. I'm inclined to believe that like Mingyu said something that made her feel good about like her position with him, and
Mm-hmm.
maybe this is actually just like something she does. I don't know, where she's just like, yeah, yeah, you said you said that you like me and I like you, so we're good. And I don't know, maybe it's like a thing. I don't know. Do people do this?
I don't think
It seems
so.
weird. I don't know. I think she just had a misread, but also Minkyu's texting her every time, supposedly. So what do I know?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. He's texting her every time.
I don't believe
And
that,
and
but
like
we'll see.
no, I think he definitely like said some shit to her that a reasonable person would interpret as he's into her.
Okay. We'll see. We'll see if that's removed from the show.
We may never see.
Yeah. So for you though, like if we get to the end of the show and Mingyu
Mhm.
picks Ji Young, does everything then make sense other than
No.
maybe like the group date? You didn't
Nothing
like that.
makes sense.
Nothing makes sense.
Nothing makes sense.
Does anything
matter
make,
who
does
he
it make
picks.
sense if he picks Yisu? You don't think anything makes sense?
No, he has not behaved in a rational way that makes sense to me at all.
Wow. Okay. I see the path that makes sense if it's Ji Young. I am confused, but I'm open to seeing like what has been edited out if it's Yisu.
Okay.
But I am, there's still some weirdness. Like Mingyu's probably been not the most articulate about his emotions, and his emotions
Mhm.
might be going back and forth more than
Yeah.
the show is giving, or than we are we're assuming like, oh, he's decided, but he's not telling us. But maybe he is
Hmm.
going back and forth. But I think for the most part, everything lines up if he's picking Ji Young in the end.
Okay.
All right, but we'll see. There's
Yeah.
so many episodes left in this.
Yeah. How are there so many episodes?
I don't know.
left in
There's
this?
only a week left, but I guess
Yeah.
that's about
Jeez.
right. It's like 4 weeks, and there's like a quarter of the season still left. So for 1 week,
Yeah, but like at this point, what's even happening anymore?
yeah,
It's
I don't
just
know.
torturing everyone.
So there is a lot of like I'm more decided on what I think Mingyu's gonna do, but then there's like, will Gyaorei switch to Jumi, and like will Jimin and Hushin like switch to each other, even though supposedly they're texting each other this whole time also.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So there's like some like secondary story, like will there be another match on the show going on?
I would love to focus on that stuff for a while. Yeah.
I'm still assuming whoever Mingyu chooses, like it will be a match.
Yeah.
And if Mingyu doesn't match with anybody, nobody's matching. Everybody
Yeah.
doesn't match. All right, but then Mingyu says to her, "If someone else and I chose each other, would you really be able to support me?"
And then she says, "If you choose someone else after heading towards me," and he's like, "Yes, we have 4 days left." And it's like,
Sorry, what was that? I didn't write that down. Say that again.
so she said, if you chose someone else after heading towards me, like she's going, you mean like you would pick somebody else after you've been coming for me this hard? And he's just like, yes.
Oh,
Got 4 whole days. Who knows what's
Oh.
happening?
I guess I took that as he was just like confirming that was the question was, but you're taking it as like, oh, he's confirming Yisu's Yisu's perception.
At the very least, he's not correcting it. So if like
Yeah.
she's entirely misread whatever he's put out here, he does not put any effort into dissuading her from thinking that he has feelings about her,
Okay.
which is shitty if that's the case.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like, it's totally possible he was like, I don't know what the sequence, I'm trying to remember what the sequence event was, but he was like on Jimin, then maybe he
Mhm.
was on Yisu for a little bit, and now he's like onto Jiyeon. And like, that's possible, right?
That's possible, but like,
It seems very fast based on what we've seen.
yeah.
And then there was there definitely could have been like a period where he liked both of them. What I wrote from the question he asked though was like, again, this doesn't feel like a question you would ask unless it was like, I'm probably not gonna pick you, so let's talk about that scenario. And also he phrases it as like, it wasn't like, if I choose somebody else, would you really be able to support me? It was like, if I choose someone else and they also choose me in return, would you be able to support me? As if like he kind of thinks he's gonna choose somebody else and they're gonna pick him also. I don't know. That's how
Yeah.
that's how I saw the question.
But I think there's also like a flirty way to ask this question. Be like,
You really think
really?
he's flirting?
I'm not saying he is, but I'm saying there's a way in which you could read this question as like you could ask it in a flirty way. Be like, really? Could you handle it? I mean, I'm so great. Like, of course you couldn't support me if I, like you'd be so jealous. Like, there's a weird, silly way to ask this question.
I guess.
I don't know that that's what he's doing.
Like, if you're on this date, if you're on this date with Mingyu and like you're like, you're in the position that Yisu is, where you feel like something has happened between you two, like knowing that you're still on the show, like,
yeah,
is this like maybe after the show you could be like, hey, if I picked somebody else that picked me back, would you really have been able to support me? But this is like, we're still on the show.
Yeah.
I don't think this is flirting. I think this is like,
yeah.
And I don't think the conversation gets more flirty when they do this. It definitely goes.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Okay.
But I mean, just when you say like the only way you could ask this question is if you were definitely gonna, like, I could see other reads happening. The
vibe of this date after all this talk is like, oh, this date has not gone well, right? Okay.
Yeah, because he pulls a classic Mingyu of like, let me talk about a different woman while I'm on this date. Which is like a move of his, apparently, because he does it all the fucking time.
He does. He's always thinking about another woman when he's on a date.
Yeah, Mingyu's bad at dating. Like, I'm just gonna say it.
He is bad at dating multiple girls at the same time. That is for sure.
Yeah, 100%.
Which again, it's not the worst quality in the world, but
I mean, it is when you're on a dating show.
It would be worse if like he consciously knew he was making them all feel like he was gonna pick them and then just picked one of them in the end, right? Like, that's worse.
I mean, he knows right now that Yisu thinks he's picking her.
He does, and that's why he's starting to, at least he's realizing it now, or maybe he realized it and decided now that he needs to say something, because he's saying something now.
Okay.
Yisu says, I probably would support you. However, wouldn't I be a little jealous?
And then she switches to her classic move of, well, I don't really know much about the other guys. Maybe I should date them and learn more about them too. Like, she always gets defensive like that.
Yeah, is that what it is? Like, see, to me, Yisu is still the most confusing person on the show. Like, I didn't really know why she said that.
Oh, it's 100% like a self-preservation move of a like, oh, you might be rejecting me. Well, I don't even need you. I gotta go meet these other guys. Whatever, it's no big deal.
Is it like actively an attempt to like make him jealous?
It might be. Okay. It doesn't work that way at all, but it might be an attempt.
Yeah. It's a weird look for sure. I don't know what she's doing when she says that.
Mostly she's just feeling bad about the situation and trying to cover it up.
Yeah. And then they must have moved on. I forget how they got to this, but eventually Mingyu starts talking about Ji Young because he says,
yep.
He says with Ji Young, ... And then he like switches his thought. And then he says like, I want to wrap up my current feelings. And when Ji Young is with me, she's very quiet. Her charms, she still hasn't shown that side to me well. And then like tomorrow he wants to see Ji Young, but he thinks all the other guys will want to see her too. And then he says, however, I think their time is more important than mine. Meaning, I don't know, like is he saying like he doesn't think he's as serious about her as the other guys are, or is it like,
I think so.
That's one way to interpret it. I was trying to
like, first of all, like, in what way has she not shown her charms to him? Like, has he not fucking been paying attention at all? Like,
yeah, this is where.
Like, in what way has she been quiet with him? She's been open and flirty and like dating like a champ with him, and I don't understand it.
My two thoughts on this are: Interregnum might be right, and like he was drunk and like cannot remember their
and
last
again,
date.
Bad at dating.
That seems kind of crazy to me. My other thought is that like there is a like long moments of silence on their date that are being edited out in a way that maybe Mingyu feels like the date isn't going that well, even though when you put all the good moments together, it seems like the best date ever. But either way, it's weird because it's like, it seems like, I don't know, like maybe his date with Jimin were so constantly like flirty back and forth, no awkwardness, that he's like, with Ji Young, it seems like he's not like, it seems like with Jiyoung, like that she's holding something back, but it's only because he's kind of been like, the scale has been adjusted because he only dated Jimin in the beginning. I don't know what's going on.
It's weird and it annoys me because like
It actually annoys you. That's interesting.
it does. It annoys me. Because like where how has he not been fucking paying attention? Like what?
It's all relative. That's how I'm seeing it. It's like, yeah, I don't know. And again, it could just still be that thing where like he still sees Jiyoung as like his other girlfriends
Mm,
in that way,
yeah.
and he wants to like see more than just his other girlfriends when he dates her. I don't know. It is definitely a weird comment. He actually says more. I have the rest of what he says.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But like, okay, so the part where he's worried about like the other guys having time with her also annoys me because it's like whoever she decides is the person she wants to spend time with. That's the important time. Like just because everybody else likes her doesn't mean they're entitled to like their time or whatever to try and convince her last minute that they're the one or whatever. Like if he's
Yeah.
got shit to work out with her, like I would say that's priority order right there because if he's not into her, he should communicate that so she can actually like spend the time with the other guys in a way that is useful.
Yeah, I mean, my immediate interpretation was that like, oh, he's not as serious, so he doesn't think his time is important. Like that's the immediate way to look at that. But I
But
just
yeah,
don't
if
think
he
it's
is not serious
possible.
about her, that means it's the most important that he talks to her right away. Because otherwise, she's not gonna be open to the other guys.
Yeah, but I think Jiyoung is actually going to have like a similar sentiment about something she describes as Hushin, which I just think like Jiyoung is better at articulating it, maybe.
No, I
But
felt like her interpretation was the total opposite. Like he starts this saying like with Jiyoung, I never got to ... who knows. But she's like, I said all the things. I told him everything. I've been real open about everything. There's not much more for me to do. Like, so that feels like a total opposite
yeah,
situation.
but my only thought is like he might be trying to say like, I've already spent so much time with Jiyoung that it feels like it's more important that the other guys get to talk to her. But he's just like not. I don't know. The way he's saying it is not the right way. I don't know. To me, it's just crazy that he wouldn't be into Jiyoung at all. And I as much as it feels like he's like kind of saying that, I just
Mm-hmm.
don't believe it. And I'm more inclined to believe he's just like not being articulate about whatever he's trying to say. Because he's definitely not straight up saying like, I don't want to spend time with Jiyoung.
Yeah.
He's just like, he's both Jiyoung and Mingyu are very conscious of like not taking away from like other people's experience on the show is kind of the comparison I was thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it is also dumb.
But the way they articulate it is different.
Yeah.
Do you want to hear more of what Mingyu says?
Yeah, because he
Okay.
continues to annoy me.
He says, if she's the one, Jiyoung, if Jiyoung's the one who really gave me the ticket, then I definitely want to see her because it would mean she still wants to talk to me. And then Yisu confirms to him that Jiyoung gave him the other ticket. So Jisoo knew. I guess this confirms that she knew.
Yeah. So does this not imply that there was something that happened? I guess not. Like this, and I guess he does go into it a little bit more where he like tried to put distance between them, I guess.
Maybe it I mean, we're gonna find out, and you already speculated correctly that Jiyoung was reacting to how he was behaving with Yisu on the group date.
Mm-hmm.
And he might have picked up that vibe and then didn't even see it as like, oh, this is because of how I was with Yisu, because he might not have thinking he was doing anything super crazy with Yisu. And then he's like taking it as, oh, like she's distancing herself from me and maybe she doesn't want to talk to me anymore. And then, but then he's like, oh, but if she sent me a ticket, that at least means she does want to talk to me. But because Yisu confirms that, now and we're going to see in the previews, like he is going to be at least a little bit forward about like, hey, can we talk?
Mm-hmm.
And then he goes on to say, because of the situation and environment is like this, I'm assuming he's saying like being on this TV show.
Yeah.
I think I was closed off to Jiyoung because I hadn't adjusted to the environment. Since she's honest with me, I should try being totally honest. I wish she had acted the same way with me as she had been with the others, but she doesn't seem to do that.
Yeah,
And
what is that?
I have 4 question marks after that statement as well.
I'm like, act like what? She acts cute as fuck with him on dates, and how is that not a? If you're in a group of people and she acts one way with 3 of them and a different way with one of them, you could probably assume the one that's different is the one she likes. Like, why is he so weird? I don't.
This is my best guess, and it all comes down
Mhm.
to it all comes down to perception, and like we've gotten this kind of idea that the guys are talking a lot on this show.
Yeah,
Like they go on dates, they come back, they talk about their dates, and from Mingyu's perspective, we've seen he knows every other guy, basically Jiyoung is their number one.
right.
So, and every time they go on a date with Jiyoung, they probably come back and they talk about their date, and they're like, "Wow, Jiyoung is so good," blah, blah, like, and they talk about different moments, and then she acted like this, and like they really make Jiyoung seem like she's like, at least from the guy's perspective, maybe they're being optimistic. I don't know. Maybe they're making it seem like Jiyoung had a really good time with them, and she was
Mhm.
being super whatever. I don't know.
Right.
And then Mingyu is listening to their side of the date, the story of their date, and being like, "Oh wow, she's not that flirty or cheerful, or I don't know what he's looking for. She's not like that with me." And so,
Except like she is though.
but she is,
Right?
but
Like,
to him, and maybe again, like this is like dating Jimin first, like threw this all off, like his expectations. I don't know. Like to him, he feels like the guys are describing something more than what he's getting, even though
mm,
he is still getting something really good, and from our perspective, way better. Like we know that Jiyoung likes Mingyu the most, so it seems like a really dumb statement from our perspective, but I could
so
see
dumb.
how maybe in the in the environment that they're in, maybe maybe Mingyu is just it seems like he's just very pessimistic about Jiyoung for some reason, as in terms of her feelings towards him, even though we know that he's her number one, or at least was for a while.
Like, how drunk did he have to be on that last date they went on, though, to not remember how good that went? They literally left talking about meeting up after the show and how they're going to take each
Yeah,
other
maybe-
out after the show.
Maybe
Like,
we'll find out if he remembers that.
How drunk must he have? Like, it was such a good date.
Yeah,
I don't understand him.
I agree with that. Did you see when they showed the
Frustrating.
flashback of that? I still think they did like link arms after.
Yes.
Did you see the flashback? Okay.
So cute. It was a good date. He's so dumb.
Yeah.
Very frustrated with this man right now.
But if he was just saying like to me, it's like ultimately picks Jiyoung. It's like, okay, it worked out. Like whether he got there eventually, and it make like it's still fine, and it would have been not as interesting a TV show, but maybe you would like him more if he was just like, yeah, Jiyoung's the best. She likes me back. We're gonna be picking each other at the end. Like if he was just saying that for the whole time.
I love that cute, straightforward stuff.
I guess
Let's
so.
go.
I guess so. It wouldn't be as interesting of a show, but
It could be less episodes. That's fine. We get right to the point.
oh no, it can't be less episodes. There's a contract. Yeah. It's frustrating. I understand the frustration from our perspective for sure. But I can see a way that if you're not an optimistic person, or or not a confident person when it comes to getting what you want in a relationship or whatever, that you could be like, or maybe it's just like she's having a good time with all these other guys. All these other guys seem like they're pretty amazing. I don't know. There's multiple ways where he could not feel confident.
I guess.
Like it's a weird spot to be like, especially if you're not a confident person, to be like, okay, every single guy on this show likes this one girl, but that one girl likes me, and then you're just like, that can't be right. Like if you're just not a confident person, you're like, no way, that's just too weird. Like I'm not.
This is one of the problems I think he has, is that he focuses way too much on the other guys when he should just be paying attention to what she's telling him.
That's true. I think that's fair advice. That's definitely true.
It's like, none of the other guys matter if she doesn't like them.
That's basically what Yisu's doing.
Yeah.
To me, they're like the opposite though, where like Like I think Yisu should be like a little bit more like Mingyu, where or like she shouldn't be as confident about whatever was said, and like Mingyu should definitely be more confident about what Ji Young has been saying.
Mingyu should pay attention to the shit he says so that other people can be confident about it. I think is the problem in that scenario.
All right, well, we got more episodes to find out what's going to happen with this.
Yo,
I think they're going to talk next episode, so maybe we'll. I'm sure you'll be frustrated no matter what happens.
maybe. Maybe he'll, pull a Gyaore with his great apology. Maybe, Minky will come in here and be like, hey, wait a minute, I'm going to be straightforward about my feelings and what's going on, and let's figure this shit out. And I'll be like, oh, adults, so good. Who knows?
Maybe. I mean, I wouldn't say there's anything Mingyu needs to apologize for.
Like, no, I'm just saying, like that was a great moment with Gyaore being an adult apologizing. Maybe Mingyu's gonna come in and be like, "Let's be adults. I'm gonna talk about how I'm feeling." Like, that'd be great.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know that I'm confident that'll be what happens, but it would be great.
Yeah. If he was confident enough to be honest with his feelings and then also could articulate it properly, that would be ideal.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
But then he wouldn't be the Mingyu that we love, Sarah.
Well, I'm saying maybe I don't love that Mingyu anymore. I'm kind of on the outs with him.
Mingyu number one. I'm good with Mingyu.
I'm back on maybe Ji Young should just hop on the Hushin train.
Nah.
Coming back to that again. I enjoy that.
Okay, let's get to their date.
So,
this is pretty much the end of that date, right?
Yeah. It ends awkwardly with him going, let me talk ad nauseum about another woman while we're on this date.
I wrote at the end of this date, does it seem like there's any chance Mingyu is picking Yisu? Which, because like I watched this and I was just like, oh, yeah, he's not picking Yisu. But
except
I guess you're not there.
He's got erratic behavior that I don't trust.
Maybe Interregnum won't agree with that either. Okay. All right, let's go back to Hushin and Ji Young. They're on a train ride. I think this is a 5 to 6 hour train ride from what I looked up.
And they are hella tired, so they fall asleep.
Yeah.
But like she falls asleep first, and he's kind of like shoulder slide maneuvering to try to be like, oh, my shoulder is under her head. If she droops, it'll catch it. She'll sleep on my shoulder.
You think he's actually doing that? I guess why would
There's definitely one shot where he is kind of trying to move it into place. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, who wouldn't be doing that?
But then there does like it authentically happens, and it's cute.
Yeah, eventually it does happen. But he's like sleeping too.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't do the move where he like then rests his head on her head.
Yeah, I was disappointed about that. That would have been real cute.
Yeah, that's a little intimate though. That's a little, you might be crossing
too much
a line.
For the show?
He's too scared to cross a line there.
He's allowed to put her head on him. He can't put his head on her. I don't know.
I guess there's just something more intimate about putting your head on her head. In my head.
I guess.
In my head. So he didn't do that. I'm guessing Ji Young got more sleep than Hushin did on this train ride based on
yes, 100%.
Yeah, eventually she sleeps on Hushin's shoulder and the hosts go crazy. They're like, will it happen?
Crazy.
Will it happen?
Great.
Let's go. They arrive and they take a taxi. I'm not done with bringing this up. I'm going to bring it up again.
Okay.
Ji Young is still bringing up with Hushin, like, will this trip change your paintings?
Okay.
Whereas to me, that means I think your paintings could be changed to be better.
No.
You don't think so?
You feel like you always go with the worst option.
I don't know. Why are you suggesting to an artist that, like, yeah, maybe, this trip will make you change how your paintings are?
No, but it's like what he paints is based on his whole life experience, and like, is this show going to be significant enough to like change that experience that you're going to want to like portray that in a different way, or it's going to come out creatively differently? Like, I don't think she's shitting on his paintings.
Yeah, I mean, she's not being like upfront about not liking his paintings, but
she seemed to really enjoy his paintings.
Wouldn't you say something like, maybe this trip will inspire you to do a painting? But like, you're not saying like
Yes.
change your paintings. That's the difference. I don't know.
Yes.
Again, it's just it's subtitles, so who knows what she's actually trying to say. But the way it reads to me is like, I think you could phrase this a better way. I don't know.
I guess. I don't know. He does not seem to mind.
Yeah, I will say that he's not. He never like makes a face like she said something rude. But also he is what was the word he used? smitten with her. So
Fair. Yeah, he does say that, like, basically it's in her hands if this experience changes how he paints.
yeah, I don't think it's gonna change it.
I mean, it might. They might get sadder.
Could make it even worse. She won't like his paintings even more.
It'd be darker colors, all black.
Even darker. Yeah, he doesn't really use dark colors. It's just kind of the subject is a little I don't even know what the right word for it is. What did you call it before?
I mean, he paints in like a surrealist way.
It's like body parts in places they shouldn't or can't or
Yeah.
aren't normally.
But I think she had made reference in the past to, like, what if he used brighter colors? So, like, they did talk about a color scheme in the past. So
okay.
maybe that, I don't know. I don't know how his paintings might change.
It sounds like there's going to be something he does at the end of the show, and hopefully we see that.
Oh.
I don't know. They keep bringing up this, like, I'll save something for the end of the show, but it also could just be a joke.
Yeah.
We're definitely going to
Hard to tell
we
with
have to definitely get, like, the group canvas that they've been working on.
Yeah,
But
that's true.
that's different than what she's talking about right now, I think.
Yeah, for that, we'll probably just have to go find his Instagram and see what he's worked on.
Okay. Hushin asked who she was hoping to see on this date. And she's like, well, I sent 2 tickets, so...
But then she does say Hushin, but, like, her reasoning is, like, if she was with Mingyu, she'd be worried all the time if he was feeling uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Which isn't a reassuring answer.
She's like, I was hoping it would be you, but the reason for that is here's something about Mingyu. Not like, no, I want it to be you because it's you. It's like,
yeah, exactly.
Okay, yeah, all right, a little dodgy, but
Mm-hmm.
she manages to lie and then make it less of a lie afterwards.
Yeah.
All right, they arrive at this. It's like a sea town, but also has a bunch of murals, like you were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And they go to a restaurant. Nothing from the first restaurant for me.
Well, she's, like, really, like, serving him food this whole time, like, taking care of, like, oh, take some of this and some of that and whatever.
Yeah, real Jumi right here.
I guess. But he, like, comments on her being so caring, and she's just like, oh, you're really caring too. And he's like, how? I'm all talk. You actually do shit. And he brings up, like, when they went on that date that one time and his ankle was hurt and they went to the pharmacy and she picked up, like, stuff for him. So that kind of shit has stuck with him as being, like, pretty meaningful.
Yeah, I wouldn't say Hushin has been, like, super caring on the show. At one point he was like, do you want some coffee? And she was like, yeah. And she was like, well, it's downstairs if you want it. And then proceeded to not get her coffee from what we saw. So
accurate, yes.
Yeah, he's all talk, basically. He's like, I say the things that you would say if you cared about somebody, but then I don't actually follow through. Okay. We get to then see them, like, walking around town a lot. We don't see, like, walking around between things on the other dates, only on this one.
Yeah. Like, I feel like this was the outdoor date part, you know, where they're, like, instead of being in a
they didn't go to, like, a park
or whatever. They are in the city or town looking at murals and enjoying the view.
That's true. They have this weird, like, funny conversation where, like, it's still, like, the cherry blossom season, like it was in the last episode. And Hushin is, like, trying to catch a blossom and he misses. And then Jian's like, oh, you already caught me one and gave it to me the other day. And Hushin's like, no, I didn't. What are you talking about? And she's like,
she,
what
like,
do you mean?
insists it was him.
Yeah. I actually don't know. I don't know who's right.
Yeah, I don't know who's right either. And then he's like hurt that, like, oh, you just intermix me with any other guy. It doesn't matter. And they have this back and forth play fight about it.
Yeah, then she's like, oh, you just caught one and gave him to everybody, I guess, because you don't even remember mine.
Yeah.
I'm more inclined to believe that this did not happen, because it seemed very unlikely to me that Hushin did this and wouldn't remember it.
Well, he wasn't even on the, like, cherry blossom date with her, right? Like,
there was a date that was Hushin, Mingyu, oh, you're right. Jiyoung wasn't on that one.
Maybe it was when they were in the park where cherry blossoms falling when they were in the Everland, maybe?
Or she's just remembering Galray or Jiwon doing it, and she actually thinks it was Hushin.
Maybe.
I'm inclined to believe that. I think Hushin would remember if he did this. And
yeah, that's
like,
true.
If there was a chance that he did it, why would deny? Like, he say he didn't do it. Unless he's like afraid he's gonna fail a test or something if he lies. I don't know. Somebody's wrong.
Yeah.
They yet again do another photo booth together.
Yep. They seem to have fun.
Ji-young says this is the third time they're doing this. Okay.
Popular date activity, I guess.
And then the second location is another cafe. Hushin says, if you only could have given one ticket, would you have given it to me? Hushin, he wants to know the answer.
Yeah, he's got to get to the bottom of this ship.
Ji-young says, I would have been torn. To Mingyu Oppa, I said everything I wanted to. So my heart feels clear. I'm at peace. My ticket might steal someone else's opportunity.
And then Hushin prompts her to think selfishly.
Yeah.
And she's just like, she doesn't say anything. She like thinking hard and scrunches up her face. And he's like, oh, do you like him that much? And more or less, she's just like, yeah.
Yeah, she never says it, but she basically admits that if she was being selfish, she would have picked Mingyu for the date today. So Hushin, yeah, he's reading this one right, I think.
Yeah.
Ji-yeon then asks Hushin how he feels, and she says she thought he was into Jimin when they last talked. It is true that he did not get the chance to pick Jimin's ticket. If somehow Ji-won had ended up with Yisu and he actually had the choice and was able to figure out which one was which.
Yeah. I think he still would have picked Ji-young.
I do
if he's being truthful here, he's basically saying, he says that he's not really sure how he feels about Jimin, if they're just friends or if he really likes her. And it's just been confusing for him.
Well, based on this date and then the flashback we're going to get, I think he definitely, Ji-young is his number one, right? It has to be. Yeah, okay. Hushin says Jimin is really tricky too. I don't know why he says two. I don't know what they were just talking about that he said two. Unless he's saying like she's tricky, but I don't know.
I just assume Mingyu's the tricky one.
Oh, like they were talking about Mingyu. Okay, that makes sense. I'm not sure if I like her, Jimin, as a woman or as a younger friend. He also talks about like not approaching anyone yesterday because he could tell like Ji-young was stressed, and I guess that's because of the Gyaore stuff or whatever happened on that group date. So like I don't know if he means like he didn't approach her or he like didn't want to approach any of the women because he didn't want like he's like really thinking about Ji-young and doesn't want her to react to him talking to any of the other women or something. I don't know.
I think like Ji-young's really the only one he really wanted to approach, and she was stressed, so he just didn't,
Yeah. But the way he said it made it seem like he actively like avoided everybody. Like I don't know. So right now I wrote, is it Ji-young or Jimin? And I said Ji-young, but I think it's gonna become more clear later.
Yeah.
Because they eventually get to the third location, the restaurant.
Yes.
And then Hushin says he thinks he said everything he wants to say, but he still doesn't feel better.
Yeah, because she said that she felt liberated after saying all the things she wanted to say.
And then I was like, oh, so he's on Ji-young.
Yeah.
You don't say that in this situation unless Ji-young is the person.
Yeah.
And then Ji-young suggests again that that Hushin is still unsure. And then Hushin immediately says, why do you keep thinking that? Like, he's annoyed that she can't tell what he's saying, basically.
Yeah, I feel like he has told her he liked her so many times at this point that it is kind of silly that she still doesn't seem to get it. He must just be so playful with Jimin in the house or something that she's just reading off of that, being like, oh, he's clearly the most interested in her or something.
Yeah, and she could be like how I described with Mingyu, where it's like she's talking to Jimin after her dates with Hushin and whatever. However, Jimin is like telling the story of their date. She's like, oh, Hushin must like Jimin based on whatever her storytelling is. And then I also feel like there was a period where we thought Ji-young did hear what Hushin was saying, but was just like trying to ignore it because she was into Jimin. But I don't know. I can't. At this point, it seems like she's a little shocked because then Hushin basically is going to go on to make it very clear of his feelings for her.
Like, this is a full-on confession of he's just like, I like who I am better when I'm with you, and it's a big
because there's a flashback to him gifting her a portrait of her engraved in wood, I believe is what this was. He thought like even if he wasn't clear with his words, he thought like, oh, by giving this gift, I am being 100% clear
Yeah.
because he didn't do this or think about doing this in his mind with any of the other women.
Mm-hmm.
But then he also goes on to say that he didn't want to admit that he was smitten with her like after their first date. So apparently he's felt like this for a while
Yeah.
because he couldn't tell how curious she was about him. Is that what he was saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
But then eventually he got the vibe, I'm not sure when, that she was curious. And then, yeah, Jiyeon seems a bit shocked by this like confession
Yeah.
or something about it. We don't get a lot of response from her from this, weirdly, which is a bit odd.
Yeah. Which is a bummer.
Which could mean something. I'm not sure. If you're hoping for the Jiyoung Hushin, that could be a good sign.
That's true.
Hushin asks her if she will go on a date with Mingyu again. Jiyoung says, I'm thinking about it. I don't have anything more to explain. Looking at his behavior afterward, his connection with Yisu got really strong. Just looking at how he treats me after a date, I can see him slightly opening up to me, but then he closes himself off again. I wonder if dates with me have no lasting effect on him. That must be because of Yisu, right? And then she says, like, she doesn't want to get in the way of his relationship with Yisu.
Yeah.
The feelings I have for him aren't shallow, is how she kind of ends that, though. So, like,
Yeah.
she's also basically saying, like I'm serious about Mingyu, right?
Right. Yeah. She's not confident that he's going to pick her back, but she is going to pick him, basically.
Yeah. And then Hushin just outright says his conclusion from this and is like, oh, so you're much leaning towards Mingyu, basically. And she does not disagree with him, is all I wrote. But she doesn't say anything, right?
Yeah. And then he, like, switches from, like, trying to woo her mode to, like, well, I'm gonna support her. And he's, like, in advice mode. And he's like, don't worry about other people. Just go for what you want. And it makes me sad because I think they were cute together.
What I wrote down, what he says is he encourages her to be more daring with Mingyu.
Yeah.
And this is kind of what Mingyu is saying. Like, he didn't use the word daring, but he, like, wanted to feel like Jiyoung was opening up to him more. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So I was thinking, like, maybe there's something that Mingyu has said to the guys about Jiyoung that, like, Hushin is aware of. I'm not sure. Or he just happened to say something that kind of lined up with Mingyu is saying. I'm not sure. And then by the end, Hushin says he is, a bit more satisfied now that at least he knows now that Jiyoung knows how he feels. Whereas before it was like, I feel like I've said everything, but I still get the vibe from you that you don't realize what I've said. But now he knows that Jiyoung knows what he's saying.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's healthy, I think.
Yep. Yeah, definitely.
I see the window of Hushin. He's gonna be like, okay, I did what I could with Jiyoung. I'm still interested in Jimin, even though I might not see her as a woman, which is weird. That's always a weird phrasing, but
yeah.
So the Hushin Jimin thing is still open, right? That could still happen.
Yes, and I hope it does.
You hope it does, okay? Yeah, why not? I feel like I'm more rooting for the Jumi Gyaore thing to work out than I am Jimin Hushin, just because it feels like Jumi Gyaore feels like an actual relationship that could work long term, and I feel like any relationship with Jimin on the show isn't gonna actually work out because she's just so much younger than everybody. But
yeah,
I'm not gonna feel much based on anything Jimin does at this point. Even if she somehow chooses Mingyu, I'll still be like, wow, they ended up picking each other, but I still don't think it's gonna work out.
Wait, did I accidentally agree with the Hushin Jimin pairing when what I meant to say is Hushin Jiyoung pairing is what I wanted? Sorry.
Oh, okay. Well, I think that Jiyoung picking Hushin is dead.
Okay. I don't.
Oh, you don't?
Well, because at the end of this, she fucking texts him.
Yeah, but they just want to date. They just want to date. Okay.
Yeah, but these are not texts that get sent to the people, so you don't have to do the polite thing.
I guess. Depends what the beginning of the prompt is.
Okay.
I don't know. Whatever. Don't talk about texts to me, Sarah. Get that shit out of here.
Just let me keep the dream alive. She deserves to be with somebody who, like, is very straightforward, is like, hey, I like you, what's up, let's go. rather than Mingyu.
Do you think it's more likely that Hushin picks Jimin than it is that Ji Young picks Hushin?
Yes, probably.
Okay, that's where I'm at. All right. All right. End of that date. We finished the dates,
Yes.
right? All right.
But the day is not over.
Yeah. Now they're all meeting late at night, like after 11 o'clock, at a bar in Yasu, which I looked up. It's on like the South Ocean side of Korea, which is
Okay.
the two other locations I looked up were also on like the South Ocean side. So I didn't look up all the locations, but I'm assuming they're all at least in that direction.
Yeah.
From Seoul. But first, Gyaore and Jumi arrive, and they were driving, so I don't know. That might just be an easier travel. I don't know where they went with respect to Yasu. Mingyu and Yisu arrive at 11:10 p.m. Jimin and Jiwon arrive at 11:20 p.m. And then we find out they're all going to be staying in this town tonight.
Yes.
I don't know if it's just tonight or if it's the rest of the show. We'll find out. And then they are all talking about how, Jiyoung and Hushin must have been further away. I don't know how much further away they were, but like I think their travel time from Seoul was more.
Yeah.
And it felt like when they were like leaving the cafe, it was like already getting dark, and then they still had to go to the restaurant. So it just seemed like they were behind schedule. I'm not sure.
That makes sense.
How far they actually were away. I don't know. I looked it up a little bit, but I don't know.
And then we see like everybody's like, "Oh, where are they?" But Mingyu like mumbles something about Hushin and Jiyoung being really late, and then Yisu's like, "Oh, are you missing Hushin?" And it's just kind of silly.
They all joke around about talking about Jiyoung and Hushin, basically. Hushin and Jiyoung arrive, and then Gyaore like hurries and like plays a song on his phone.
Like they had something planned, but it wasn't sure what it was.
Was it like wedding music or something? Like I don't.
Oh, that would have been so awkward.
But funny.
Yes.
I don't know what the song was. I feel like we could barely hear it, but I didn't investigate it. Jimin then sneaks Hushin a hot pack under the table.
Yes. Like as soon as he sits down.
Real sneaky.
Very cute.
I think Hushin and Jiyoung were like really cold. I don't know how long they were walking around outside.
Yeah.
But yeah, she sneaks him a hot pack. Weirdly. I don't know why it was done sneakily.
Yeah. I don't know that it was sneaky so much as it was just like her hand was under the table, his hand was under the table. Sure, why not? But then Gyaore gets up and grabs Jiyoung a blanket.
Wait,
so
is she just pulling the Mingyu? Didn't Mingyu like sneak the? Oh no, that was with Jiyoung.
Oh yeah,
it was Mingyu who snuck the hot. Maybe this is just how you transfer hot packs to people.
Maybe it's you have to be as sketchy as hell under the table.
Always an under the table transaction with hot packs. You ever use hot packs before? They're always on these shows. I've never used them.
I've never used them.
Okay, they're hella popular in Korea, apparently.
At least on TV shows.
Yeah. In the situations these people on TV shows always get into.
Where they have to be outside for way too long because production thing.
And then Gyaore gets Jiyoung a blanket because he notices that she's also cold. And then they show Jumi's face.
Yep.
I have no comments on whether or not that meant anything, but they were like, Jumi's face. I don't think she even really made a face. It was just like...
She was just also there.
Yeah. Doesn't seem... The show at least is trying to get the vibe that like Gyaore is still paying attention to Jiyoung. Even though it still could be like a nice thing to do for somebody you're not romantically interested in. It doesn't have to mean anything, but it probably does.
Yeah.
Yeah, they start like rehashing the meaning of the phrases and the flowers. I guess they were actually just talking about the meaning of love, which I didn't put that together right away. I wrote nothing that we don't already know, right? Like, did you write these down?
I wrote all of these down.
All right, go ahead. What were the women's meanings of love? I have the men's.
So Jumi's phrase that got on the ticket was, "I'll make you happy." And her explanation for it was that she told production that even if she's facing a difficult moment, hoping that the other person is happy and safe.
Okay.
Jimin's quote on the ticket was, "A desire for a person." And she told production, "A desire for the other person to feel the same way you do."
What a young person answered that question. That's
yes,
so good.
100%. She is so young.
It's also just like a very specific definition for her situation, which is like,
yes,
maybe she was just saying that because of the situation. Not that
maybe
it's like maybe she didn't think about it like in a philosophical way.
Yisu's thing said promise of love, and she told production, "Noticing each other's true value and acknowledging it, staying where you are without losing faith.
Okay.
Ji Young's said patience, and she told production enduring a long time and waiting.
Huh. Both Yisu's and Ji-young's are a little weird. I can see why they were like, I don't know who that is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. You have any comments on those?
It's weird that they were making people define love on the show, but sure. Let's go for it.
Yeah, I mean, I could see it being a meaningful exercise. But then like you get some answers and you're just like, whatever, doesn't mean anything.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I have the guys ones because Jumi's gonna ask all the guys to give their answer. We get Gyaorei's again, which is loyalty.
Mm-hmm.
And then Jiwon says happiness together. That's probably closest.
Weak sauce.
It's weak. It's probably the closest to Jumi's though, right?
Well, Jumi's is about
this is like on the spot, like answer this weird question though. Like the women got to think about it.
Sure. But Jumi's is like taking care of another person and like valuing them above yourself, you know?
Oh, was that how it was phrased? It started out with like happiness, but then she elaborated, but
yeah.
Okay. And then Hushin's phrase is not taking but giving. Like being willing to give more than you take, I guess. Is the idea.
Yeah.
And then Guman's is happiness and wanting to become a better person for someone. Is that what he said?
Sort of, yeah.
Sort of? I don't know. This is a tough spot. Yeah. Like if you're just like, hey, what's your meaning of love? Whoa, what do I want to say to that? Give me.
I just feel like Mingyu didn't like quite answer the question. He's just like, when I like someone, I try to be a better person. I'm like, oh, okay.
It's as much of an answer as everybody else gave, I think.
That's fair.
Yeah. And then I wrote, we didn't get the women's answers. And then on this podcast, I realized, oh, that's what they already wrote on the thing. All right. It's time for texting, supposedly.
Oh, yeah. Our favorite part.
You want to say the results? And then
yeah,
I have how they changed from last time.
So Jumi picked Gyaorei. Yisu picked Mingyu. Ji-young picked Hushin. Jimin picked Hushin. Hushin picked Ji-young. Ji-won picked Ji-young. Gyaorei picked Jumi. Mingyu picked Yisu.
Yeah, so Gyaorei switched to Jumi,
mm-hmm.
but also they went on a date today. Ji-young switched to Hushin, but also they went on a date today.
Did Hushin pick Ji-young last time?
Hushin picked Ji-young last time, yeah.
Okay.
Back in episode 10.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And then the only two people who didn't pick the person they went on a date were Ji-won and Jimin, who went on a date with each other.
Yeah, that sounds right.
I'll say, I think I remember in Heart Signal too, like when they did these dates, I think everybody picked who they went on the destination date with, if I'm remembering correctly.
Were they still sending the text through at that point?
Oh, were they getting the text? I'm not 100% sure. I'm assuming it's the same.
Okay. Because it feels like you shouldn't... I would think there would be less picking the person you went on the date with out of some weird sense of obligation if you know the other person's not getting a text out of it, you know?
Yeah, I would think so too. My memory is that they didn't as explicitly tell us that they weren't getting the text, but there definitely was like, oh, they're not showing us the text anymore.
Yeah, okay.
So that's why I'm assuming it was the same way. So as usual, I am not invested in the meaning of these texts, but you read into it what you want to. To me, it would just be so weird if like the two matches we get at the end of the show are Mingyu and Yisu and Jimin and Hushin, because they've literally picked each other every time since like halfway through the season.
Yeah.
That like can't be how this show is run, right? Like,
I don't know.
I don't think they would do that.
Maybe.
Whatever text messages.
Only time will tell.
That's the end of episode 12.
Yeah.
I also think the host got one wrong here.
Yeah.
Which one was it? It was probably
Ji-young.
Yeah, why the fuck is Ji-young texting Hushin after that date?
Because he just gave her a very heartfelt, sweet confession of his feelings. That is better than anything Mingyu has ever said to her.
Okay. I mean, Ji-won confessed his feelings. Gyaorei confessed his feelings.
No. They confessed their feelings, but they didn't like Hushin came out with the like movie like in the rain confession of just like, you make me a better person. I paint better with you. I'm smarter with you. Like he was just, it was good. It was so much better than just like, I really like you. Please don't feel uncomfortable about it, which is what she got from a bunch of other guys.
It could be a combination of, she actually likes Hushin compared to the other two guys too. So it's like
Also,
a combination
yes.
of like, yeah, we went on a date and I also like you, so I don't mind texting you.
Yeah.
But whatever. If she even did, who knows?
Okay.
All right, preview for episode 13, Sarah.
Yes, they're still in the place. They stayed overnight.
Yeah, the second date in Yasu. Mingyu says, I'm going crazy. He's like in like whatever room. There was some discussion about like at the table before Hushin and Jiyoung got there of like, oh, I wonder how we should decide who roommates with who in this like new hotel.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're staying at. And then there was like a weird moment with like Galray like asking Mingyu to be roommates, even though they were already roommates.
Yeah.
Something. I don't know. I didn't really fully catch. They said it was funny, however it was. So
Yeah,
I don't
about the
I
way
don't know.
he said it. Yeah.
Are they gonna get them like 4 rooms and there's like 2-person a room? I don't know. We'll see what the sleeping arrangement is here. But Mingyu seems to be like in whatever bedroom situation.
Feeling some feelings.
By himself. He says, I'm going crazy. Hushin is still saying Jiyeon really likes Mingyu.
Yes.
And he's decided to just support her. Seems to be some sort of negotiation with the guys as to who will date Jiyoung that day. Mostly like between
Jiwon's trying.
Yeah. Mostly between Mingyu and Jiwon. It seems like Hushin and Galray, they're like, all right, I'll step aside.
Yeah.
And Jiwon's like, nope, she hasn't gotten to know me yet, that's why.
Exactly.
She doesn't like me.
But then it does look like Mingyu like pulls Jiyoung aside to talk in what may or may not be a very dramatic fashion. I don't know. But then it looks like Mingyu fucking made Jiyoung cry, and so I'm annoyed again.
Well, yeah, the edit was so weird in the preview because it's like he asks her to talk, and then he says, "I don't think we got to finish our conversation," something like that. Cuts to Jiyoung as if it's still in the conversation that like he just said this, and she's like, she has like a big smile on her face, and then immediately cuts to her in the car crying. But it shows only her crying. Like, it only shows her side of the car.
But then it shows him in a car.
And then it cuts to him driving the car, but it might not be the same car.
Yeah.
If I had to guess.
Like, what's Jiwon gonna do to make her cry?
Well, if Jiwon puts her in a situation where she has to reject him again, wouldn't that make her upset? Like how she felt when she had it before.
No, but there's also, like, she says something along the lines of, like, maybe he changed his mind or something. That is also superimposed over the crying, so which may be from a completely different scene, but it feels like it's supposed to look like it's related, at least.
I mean, if Mingyu says some crazy shit that I'm not expecting, I guess he could make her cry.
Or he could be, like, leading her on early on, and then later, like, fucking flirting with Yisu in front of her again, like...
Oh, I guess so.
You know?
Yeah, I guess I got it.
Big shitty move. I'm not prepared to give him the benefit of the doubt right now.
My best guess is that she's gonna have to talk to Jiwon again, and then she's gonna feel bad again about. And I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how that's gonna go.
Okay.
You could probably go back and be like, "Is this the same car scene with?" I don't know. You might be able to analyze it, but I'm not going to.
Yeah, I'm just gonna wait till the next episode.
We're gonna get some Hushin and Jimin action.
Yeah.
I'm here for it, mostly just to see if how fast Hushin can move on.
Yeah.
I guess it's also a mystery if Jimin will change. And hopefully, I couldn't tell, but hopefully we get some more Jumi and Galray action.
Yeah, that'd be good.
It looked like Jumi was going to be in the show, and I don't know why she'd be in the show if it wasn't with Galray. So I think it's Jumi and Galray, but it wasn't obvious.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Yep.
Should be good. Yeah. Anything else, Sarah? Any other big feelings you want to get off your chest here?
Just not a fan of Mingyu right now. Maybe he can turn it around, but it's not looking good.
I mean, at this point, I don't know what he could do to turn it around for you.
He could start being very honest and straightforward.
Even if it was honest and straightforward, you would still be like, but what the fuck was that other stuff? Right?
Maybe he could come up with some explanation that makes it all make sense.
Yeah, what if he was just straight up like, I am bad at dating multiple girls at the same time?
I would accept that.
You would turn
It-
around
it-
on him
it-
if he just was self-conscious about his lack of abilities in that
If he
area.
was like honest enough to just be like, look, I fucked up. Like, there's something endearing about that. I can get behind that. Taking
Okay.
ownership of messing up and, being able to talk about your own
Maybe.
faults. It's admirable.
I guess so. Again, like I don't think he's done anything that needs to be apologized for, but he still could apologize knowing that it's affected Jiyoung a certain way.
Hey, if he is the one that fucking makes her cry in this episode, he's got shit to apologize for.
In the next episode?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe. I mean, I don't think every time somebody cries, like there needs to be an apology from somebody, but
There's a bigger chance than none.
really, okay. I guess so. I don't know the statistics on that, but okay. All right. Anything else?
No, that's all I got.
All right. Next time we'll be talking about Heart Signal 4 episode 13. Let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna just stick with Heart Signal until the end of the season, which I believe is 16
Soon.
episodes.
Yeah.
I think at the time we're recording this, I believe tomorrow is the release of episode 14. So we're a little bit behind right now.
Yeah.
We're basically like 2 weeks and a day from the end of the season.
Okay.
We'll see how we do.
Yeah.
My end of summer schedule's not ideal.
We're trying our best out here.
I think we'll probably try to just release these episodes one at a time. We won't try to double them up. We'll just release them when they're ready. And then, yeah, hopefully we get them done sooner than later.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Where can people contact us, Sarah?
People can email us at keepwatchingpod@gmail.com. Tweet at us on Twitter at keepwatchingpod. Instagram at keepwatchingpod. Or leave a comment under the video on YouTube, also at keepwatchingpod. And if you want to tell us which contestant had the best definition of love, you can leave us a rating or review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify.
Yeah. Or what's your definition of love?
Also that.
And make sure you don't think too long about it. Just like give yourself like 30 seconds tops and then just type in the comments.
Yeah. Real surface level definition of love.
You always give these prompts to like try to get to people to like leave a review on like iTunes.
You never get a review.
And they just go to YouTube and put that shit in the comments.
Which is fine. Which is fine. I just one day to get an actual review on Apple Podcasts. We've gotten ratings, but never like a review. I don't know. It's just my dream. One day maybe.
I feel like I left a review on iTunes once, but like I did it on like the iTunes like Microsoft app or like some like Windows app. Like, can I just go on my phone and just be like casually just like write a review real fast?
Yeah, if you go to the podcast app.
Right,
I'm pretty sure that's how that works. iTunes only exists on Windows anymore. They like killed it for all.
Should I write us a
else.
review right now?
No, that's cheating. It doesn't count if it's from us.
I mean, it doesn't count, but I mean, it's like it'll be there.
No,
like confirm it so it works.
Fraudulent review that way.
What should I write?
I don't know. But then it'll no longer be true that we haven't gotten a review, so I can't sound so sad in the podcast when I talk about it.
I mean, it doesn't count, so we haven't got one. How do you? I don't know how to do this shit. I'll be honest.
It can't be that hard.
We have to like scroll down. Hey, we got 6 ratings, 5, and we're still 5 stars. That's not bad.
That's pretty good.
Write a review. Write a review. What should I write? Title: 5 stars.
No, you don't even have to write a whole review. You just have to write a title.
Oh, title. What's my definition of love?
It's gonna be so confusing.
Definition of love. Damn it! I literally still can't think of anything to write for this.
It's a tough one. No, but don't post a review. Don't do it.
Why not?
Because I only want authentic reviews.
No, I'm leaving a review, and
No.
I'm doing it right now, and then everybody can go look at my review on the Apple Podcast app and see what my definition of love is.
Oh, there we go. Okay. All right.
Send. Thanks for your feedback. Did it show up for you? Don't say what it is.
Wait, I have to. Not yet. I think it might take a little time to get through the.
They have to like
stuff.
review my review.
They might. Apple's serious.
Shit. All right. Well, it might not be there. It might be there. I don't know how to view reviews. And maybe that's because we don't have a review. But can you normally read other people's review if you go to a podcast?
Yeah, right there where you went down and saw the rating, there would be reviews there if we had any.
Oh yeah. I see. Oh, I see reviews on other podcasts. Okay. Well, maybe my review will show up someday. All right. Well, maybe that'll be there. People want to go check it out. I answered Sarah's prompt
And while
on
you're there,
Apple Podcasts.
just leave a review of your own. You know.
Yeah, you might as well. If
It would just be nice.
Far. He made it that
Yeah,
far.
exactly.
All right. We good? Anything else?
I think we good.
Alrighty. Thanks for listening, everybody. Bye.
Bye.